Chapter 870. Her Royal Highness, the sixth princess has arrived. A sharp voice pierced through the sky, silencing the noisy crowd in an instant. When the crowd turned to look, they saw a palanquin being carried in by guards. A peerlessly beautiful woman was seated in the palanquin. She was dressed in a light yellow, scholarly robe and looked elegant and regal. She looked down on the crowd from high above. "Mengyao, you're here." Tianwen's eyes lit up, and he quickly walked towards Jiang Mengyao. He reached out his hand, and his handsome face lit up with a warm smile. Compared to the gloomy yet Tianwen of the past, he now looked like an elegant young master. His entire being exuded a strong charm. Jiang Mingyao's expression softened, and she gently placed her wrist on the back of Tianwen's hand. She then used his strength to leap off the palanquin and landed firmly next to him. "Greetings, Your Royal Highness." Everyone in the sacrificial ground fell to their knees at the sight of Jiang Mingyao's appearance. Hence, Yi Jingqian and Jun Fengling stood out from the crowd. "Brother Ye." Just then, a woman dressed as a palace maid charged towards Yi Jingqian in a frenzy. Her voice was filled with unparalleled excitement as she quickly ran towards Yi Jingqian. Yi Jingqian was shocked when he heard the woman's sharp voice. He then saw a familiar face, and his face darkened. "Eldest princess, what are you doing here?" He had long heard that the eldest princess had been placed under house arrest by His Imperial Majesty. He never thought that she would mix in with the palace maids and follow Jiang Mengyao out of the palace. "Brother Ye, you're finally back." The eldest princess's eyes filled with tears. "Do you know how long I've waited for you here? For your sake, I had rejected my imperial brother's offer to marry me, all for the sake of waiting for you." Yi Jingqian stumbled back, afraid that the eldest princess's spittle would splash on his face. A sense of disgust flashed across his gentle eyes. "Eldest princess, please conduct yourself with dignity." "Conduct myself with dignity?" That word thoroughly angered the eldest princess. Her face filled with rage. "You're asking me to conduct myself with dignity? No matter how frivolous I am, I'm still better than that woman next to you. She had dared to hook her arm around your arm in public. Isn't she afraid of being gossiped about?" The eldest princess glared at Jun Fengling and gritted her teeth. If it weren't for this woman, she would be Brother Ye's wife. It was she who snatched her beloved Brother Ye away. Unfortunately, the Grand Princess was deceiving herself. Even if Jun Fengling hadn't appeared, Yi Jingqian wouldn't have married her. "Eldest princess, are you joking?" Yi Jingqian sneered. "Jun is my wife. No matter what she does, it's only right. How is she being frivolous? As for you, Princess Royal, an unmarried girl chasing after a married man, do you still have any sense of shame? Brother Yi, are you scolding me? Are you scolding me because of this woman?" The eldest princess pointed at Jun Fengling and said angrily, "I'll kill this woman now. Let's see how you're going to protect her. Men, capture Jun Fengling and tear him to pieces." Hearing the Grand Princess's words, the guards looked at each other in dismay. However, seeing that Jiang Mengyao did not stop the Grand Princess, they gathered their courage and stepped forward. The eldest princess lifted her chin proudly. "Jun Fengling, you're a promiscuous slut. How dare you steal someone else's man? If you hadn't seduced Brother Yi, he wouldn't have abandoned me to marry you." Chapter 871. Back then, Yi Jingqian had a lot of power in the Yi family. Hence, no matter how unruly and willful the eldest princess was, she had to weigh the power in her hands. Now, the position of the young master of the Yi family belonged to the second young master. She believed that the Yi family would not hold it against her for merely killing a woman. "Brother Yi." Jun Fengling raised her hand and stopped Yi Jingqian. She smiled, and a sharp glint flashed across her eyes. "Leave this to me." Yi Jingqian was stunned. He retracted his hand and nodded. "All right." Jun Fengling's smile deepened, but it did not reach her eyes. Her eyes were dark. "You want to steal my man?" The eldest princess scoffed. "Brother Yi is mine. You're the one who stole him, you shameless slut. You're the one who stole someone else's man." Slap! As soon as the eldest princess finished speaking, The crowd saw a sharp gust of wind suddenly flash by. Immediately after, the figure of the woman in red had already appeared in front of the eldest princess. The crisp sound of a slap rang out, silencing the entire sacrificial ground. Do you really think that I tolerated you back then because I was afraid of you? I, Jun Fengling, have never been afraid of anyone. If it wasn't for Brother Yi, I would have sent you to hell 10 years ago. The eldest princess covered her face and glared at Jun Fengling with hatred. She gritted her teeth. What are you standing there for? This woman dared to touch me. She's guilty of having her entire family executed. Kill her immediately. And that bastard of hers, he deserves to die, too. Let's see who dares to touch her. Seeing the guards surrounding Jun Fengling, Yi Jingxian shouted and stood in front of Jun Fengling, his eyes filled with murderous intent as he scanned the surroundings. Enough! At that moment, Jiang Mingyao, who had been silent all this while, finally spoke. Imperial Aunt, we're here to witness the blood identification ceremony. We're not here for you to cause trouble. The eldest princess was a little fearful of her niece. So, after hearing her words, no matter how unwilling she was, she could only swallow it down. Brother Yi, I know that you must have been bewitched by this woman. One day, you'll regret your choice. Jiang Mingyao no longer cared about this farce. She turned to Yi Tianwen and asked, Tianwen, why hasn't the blood test ceremony started yet? Yi Tianwen lowered his eyes, concealing the sinister look in his eyes. After a long while, he raised his head to look at Jiang Mingyao and spoke in a gentle voice. I'm not sure either. Yin Xiao hasn't arrived yet, and I don't know what has happened to cause him to be so afraid of this blood test. In other words, Yin Xiao was afraid, so she didn't come to test her blood. As for the reason why they were afraid, other than him being a fake descendant of the Yi family, what else could it be? Sure enough, Jiang Mingyao believed Yi Tianwen's words. She sneered. It seems that the young master of the Yi clan is only so. To think that he would be deceived by a woman. That kid is not even of your bloodline. What's funny is that you would give up the princess for such a woman. What a pity. Yi Jingxian narrowed his eyes and sneered. It's not the official time yet. How do you know that little Xiao won't be coming? Furthermore, if my father doesn't appear, how can the ceremony begin? Just as Yi Jingxian finished speaking, a languid laughter filled the air, causing the noisy, sacrificial ground to become silent for a moment. Chapter 872. Father, Mother, Yin Xiao and I were too tired last night, so we overslept. Are we late? It was impossible for anyone not to understand the meaning behind the word too tiring. For a moment, no one could find an excuse to refute them. Yin Luofeng had indeed woken up late. By the time she left the divine grimoire, it was already morning, but he still had to brew the medicine for Yin Xiao. The goal was to allow him to fuse with any blood type. That was why she had come late. Looking at Yin Luofeng and Yin Xiao, Jun Fengling's expression finally softened. She smiled. It's fine if you come a little late so that I can have a grandchild as soon as possible. Everyone's expression changed as they looked at Jun Fengling accusingly. Sister-in-law, Yi Jingxuan's eyes darkened as he said coldly, Your daughter-in-law is too rude. Not only does she not bow to the princess, she's also so arrogant towards us elders. Shouldn't you discipline her a little? Jun Fengling glanced at Yi Jingxian coldly. My daughter-in-law takes after my personality. No matter how arrogant and rude she is, it's because I condone her. What you do to us? Yi Jingxuan's expression darkened instantly. All these years, Jun Fengling had swallowed humiliation in the Yi family, so much so that he had forgotten this woman's insolent personality. Want her to discipline her daughter-in-law? That was undoubtedly a fool's dream. Women should be more obedient. Seeing that he could not convince Jun Fengling, Yi Jingxian turned to Yin Xiao. If you want to be a member of the Yi family, you must discipline your wife. How is a man who can't even discipline a woman different from a good-for-nothing? Yin Xiao's expression was cold and expressionless. Only useless men flaunt their power in front of their wives. What he meant was that only useless men would clamor at their wives. A truly powerful man would do his best to protect his wife and vent all of his anger on his enemies. Yi Jingshuan's expression grew uglier. Was this fellow calling him useless? In his opinion, women were accessories to men. No matter how strong and outstanding a woman was, she was nothing more than that. Is everyone here? Suddenly, an old figure appeared in the sky. Not long after, an old man appeared in the sky. His white robes fluttered in the wind as he stood in midair. His gaze was calm as he scanned the crowd. When his gaze landed on Yi Jingshun, he paused for a moment before he turned away as though nothing had happened. Since everyone is here, let's start the blood test. Yes, Patriarch. Hearing this, someone immediately went to prepare. After a while, that person came back with a basin of water and placed it on the altar. Yi Jingshun seemed to have sensed the nervousness in Jun Fengling's heart. He held her hand tightly, giving her courage. Then, he slowly walked toward the altar. Wait for me. Yin Xiao leaned over to Yin Luofeng's side. I'll be back soon. With that, he turned around and walked to the altar in a few steps. Yi Jingshun's blood dripped into the basin of water, creating a layer of ripples on the surface. At the same time, Yin Xiao also dripped a drop of blood expressionlessly, dyeing the surface of the water red. Initially, the two drops of blood were scattered in different directions. But very quickly, the two drops of blood merged in front of everyone's eyes. That's right. They had indeed merged in front of everyone's eyes. Gasp! Everyone gasped. Perhaps they hadn't thought that Jun Fengling's illegitimate son was really Yi Jingshun's son. Chapter 873. At this time, Jun Fengling was relieved. Although she didn't know what was going on, she understood that it was definitely related to Yun Luofeng. The blood test has been successful. Yin Xiao is indeed the blood of our Yi family. The old man looked at Yi Jingshun with a complicated expression. He sighed softly and announced his decision. The quiet crowd finally burst into an uproar at this moment. Everyone started discussing below the stage, and the topic of their discussion revolved around Yin Xiao. In everyone's eyes, Jun Fengling was no longer a promiscuous woman, and Yi Jingshun was no longer a green-haired tortoise. But now, they had a new topic. Yin Xiao was a good-for-nothing. A piece of trash who had been kicked out of the clan was actually a member of the Yi clan. This made the Yi clan members unable to accept it for a while. Patriarch. Just as everyone was discussing, Yi Xiang, who had been silent the whole time, walked out and cupped his fists respectfully. Since he is indeed of the Yi clan's bloodline, he should be recorded in the family tree and change his surname to Yi. Yi Xiang said this for Yi Jingshun's sake. All these years, the Yi family owed him too much. No matter what, he had to fight for the greatest benefits for his son. My surname is Yun. I'm a member of the Yun family. Right after Yi Xiang finished speaking, a cold voice suddenly sounded out, causing another uproar. Elder Yi Xiang wanted him to return to the Yi clan, but he actually refused? Where did this trash get his courage from? Yi Xiang suppressed the anger in his heart and said in a deep voice, Young Master Xiao, you are of the Yi family's bloodline. How could you be a member of the Yun family? The man's expression was as cold as ever, but his tone was extremely firm. I'm already married to Feng Er, so I'm a member of the Yun family. He didn't say marry, but marry. From this, one could see the weight of Yun Luofeng in his heart. Impudent. Yi Jingshuan's face darkened as he shouted, Yin Xiao, do you know what you are saying? A live-in son-in-law was a disgrace to the Yi family. My Yi family will never allow such a thing to happen. Yi Jingxian couldn't wait for Yin Xiao to not return to the family tree, but he couldn't tolerate someone bringing such shame to the Yi family. Otherwise, if word got out, the Yi family would become the laughingstock of the world. Yun Zhao's cold gaze gradually fell on Yi Jingxian. To me, becoming the Yun family's son-in-law is my pride. Yi Jingxian was so angry that he almost went crazy. His eyes turned a few times, and he looked at the old man in midair. Father, since this brat refuses to change his surname, then our Yi family has no need for this piece of trash to return. Father, please expel him from the Yi family, never to be included in the family tree. If Yin Xiao wasn't a member of the Yi family, then whatever he did would have nothing to do with the Yi family. He didn't need to feel humiliated. In mid-air, The old man glanced at Yun Xiao indifferently. If he doesn't want to change his surname, then let him be. Father? Yi Jingxian was stunned. For a moment, he didn't understand what the old man meant. That's it then. I'm tired. I'll leave the rest to Yi Xiang. The old man waved his sleeves and turned to leave. Before he left, he seemed to inadvertently glance at Yi Jingxian. That gaze contained an indecipherable meaning. Yi Jingxian returned to his senses, and his cold gaze turned towards Yi Jingxian and the others. He laughed mockingly. Big brother, it's not that I don't care about our friendship, but as you can see, Father doesn't recognize him as his grandson anymore. So, I'll expel him on Father's behalf. Chapter 874. Unexpectedly, just as he finished speaking, Yi Xiang's voice came from behind. The master's words didn't mean to expel him from the family, but whether he wants to enter the family register and change his surname is up to him. Yi Xiang didn't understand the elder's decision, but he had always been loyal and naturally wouldn't go against any of the elder's orders. Yi Jingxian's smile froze. Impossible. This brat doesn't even want to change his surname and even became his son-in-law. How could Father tolerate him? Second young master, this is the master's decision. We can't have any objections. Yi Xiang frowned slightly. Since this matter is over, you can all leave now. Yi Jingxuan's face turned from green to white, then from white to green. In the end, he laughed coldly, his lips curling into a mocking smile. Big brother, it's not that I want to criticize you, but you finally have a son, but he's a good-for-nothing. If he wasn't a good-for-nothing, perhaps I would be a little more afraid. It was because he thought Yun Xiao was a good-for-nothing that he was so unscrupulous. Also, Yi Jingxian paused, then smiled. Your daughter-in-law can't be compared to Princess Mingyao. Princess Mingyao's medical skills are brilliant. Even His Majesty loves her dearly. If she can cure the Empress's illness, she will immediately be conferred the title of Crown Princess. Tell me, how can you compare to me? He purposely said this so that Yi Jingxian could hear him. Hence, he purposely lowered his voice. Unfortunately, Yun Xiao and Yin Luofeng's ears were extremely sharp. How could they not hear these words? Faced with Yi Jingxuan's words, Yin Luofeng only shook his head in amusement, disapproving. But Yin Xiao wouldn't allow anyone to say anything bad about Yin Luofeng. Hence, he curled his fingers slightly, and a streak of spiritual energy was sent down, hitting Yi Jingxuan's back joint. Thump. Caught off guard, Yi Jingxian suddenly knelt in front of Yi Jingxian. This time, not to mention the people around, even Yi Jingxian was dumbfounded. Father! Yi Tianwen's expression changed, clearly not knowing what had happened. Jiang Mingyao frowned slightly, but didn't say anything. She looked at the two with a pair of questioning eyes. Second brother, what are you doing? The corners of Yi Jingxian's lips curled up, but his tone was very polite. Even if you want to take little Xiao away, you don't have to kneel down and beg me. How can I, the elder brother, make things difficult for my younger brother? Get up quickly. I'll prepare to leave the Yi family in a while. Yi Jingxian had always been flexible. Even if he didn't understand what was going on, it didn't mean that he wouldn't take the opportunity to trick Yi Jingxian. Hearing this, Yi Jingxian was stunned. When did he beg Yi Jingxian to take Yun Xiao away? However, Yi Jingxian was also a scheming person. It didn't take him long to understand the meaning of Yi Jingxian's words. He immediately gritted his teeth in hatred. This kid actually wanted to harm him. If she really let Yi Jingxian leave, she would have to bear the crime of chasing her brother away. After all, things were different now. Back then, he had an excuse to chase Yi Jingxian away. Now that Yi Jingxian had a son, how could he chase him away? Big brother, I was just joking. Yi Jingxian smiled embarrassedly. Besides, I'm not kneeling to you, big brother. My legs are just a little weak. Yi Jingxian crawled up from the ground and pretended to rub his knees. Since this nephew of mine has returned to the Yi family, as his uncle, I definitely won't mistreat him. I hope that my nephew will attend tonight's family banquet. Chapter 875. Yi Jingxian chuckled. Definitely. He wanted to see what his brother was up to this time. It was nighttime. The night sky was as clear as water. The Yi household was brightly lit. Servants and maids came and went. It was bustling with activity. Yin Laofeng's family of 6 had just entered the banquet hall when they heard compliments coming from inside. Jiang Mingyao sat beside Yi Tianwen and smiled at those who came to compliment her. However, her smile disappeared very quickly. She frowned and glanced at the family of 6 who had appeared at the entrance of the banquet hall. Second brother, you seem to have placed too few seats. Yi Jingqian's face darkened when he saw the situation in the banquet hall. There are 6 of us. Why are there only 4 empty seats? Yi Jingqian chuckled. I'm sorry, big brother. There are only so many chairs in the banquet hall. There are no more empty seats. Sister-in-law, as your wife, should naturally take a seat. Yin Xiao and Yi Shima, as men, have a right to sit too. Therefore, we can only let Yin Luofeng and Yi Qi, these 2 women, sit in the lower seats. Yi Jingqian's face darkened. He knew that his brother wouldn't stay put. He didn't expect him to be making things difficult for him here. I think this seat is just right. Jun Fengling smiled. Second brother, the 6th princess hasn't married Tianwen yet. Logically speaking, she doesn't have a right to attend the Yi family banquet. Moreover, she's also a junior. Why don't you ask her to give up her seat? Jun Fengling paused, and a cold look flashed in her eyes. Moreover, even the 6th princess palace maid can sit in the Yi family banquet. Why are you forcing my daughter-in-law and goddaughter to sit in the lower seats? In reality, the 6th princess palace maid didn't have the right to sit. However, in order to make things difficult for Yin Luofeng, Yi Jingqian had specially discussed this with the 6th princess. Therefore, the palace maid had taken a seat. Yi Jingxuan's face darkened. Sister-in-law, what are you saying? The 6th princess has such a noble status. How can Yin Luofeng and Yi Qi compare? And as the 6th princess palace maid, Fei Er's status is higher than your daughter-in-law and daughter. You actually want the 6th princess and her palace maid to give up their seats? Don't you know any etiquette? In other words, even the personal maid of the 6th princess had a higher status than Yin Luofeng. Looks like you don't want us to participate in this family banquet. Jun Fengling smiled coldly. If that's the case, there's no need for us to suffer here. Brother Yi, let's go. Yi Jingqian smiled sinisterly. Sister-in-law, it's not that I didn't invite you to the family banquet. It's that you didn't want to come. Don't push the blame on me when father asks. Yi Jingqian's face was ashen. He suppressed his anger and turned to face Jun Fengling. There's no point in coming to such a place. All right. Jun Fengling smiled. Shower Fenger, let's go. As she finished speaking, she stepped forward and grabbed Yin Luofeng, wanting to leave the banquet hall. However, at this time, Yin Luofeng pushed her hand away, and the smile on his lips revealed a trace of coldness. Wait a moment. Jun Fengling was stunned. Just as she was in a daze, Yin Luofeng had already walked in front of the table. She lifted her long leg and kicked the long table fiercely. In an instant, the long table cracked, and all the delicacies on the table fell to the ground, staining the floor. Everyone was stunned. Yin Luofeng's actions were too domineering, so domineering that they could not recover for a long time. Chapter 876. What are you doing? Yi Jingqian was the first to react. He abruptly stood up and glared angrily at Yin Luofeng. If looks could kill, Yin Luofeng would have already been executed by him. The young girl looked at Yi Jingqian evilly. If you don't want us to attend the banquet, then no one should attend. She was just that arrogant. If you don't want us to eat in peace, then no one should eat at all. It seems like this is how you were raised. Jiang Mingyao wiped her mouth with a handkerchief, and her arrogant gaze swept over Yin Luofeng coldly. In the royal family, even a palace maid is more educated than you. Besides, what Uncle Yi said is not wrong. Even my palace maid is more qualified to attend the banquet than you. Jiang Mingyao indeed had her pride. As a princess of the royal family, her status was extraordinary, coupled with her impressive talent, who in the younger generation dared to not obey her. Only Yin Luofeng and Yun Xiao were exceptions, because from the moment they entered the door, they didn't even look at her. It was as if she was invisible and they directly ignored her existence. How could Jiang Mingyao, who had always been the center of attention, stand this? The Yi family elders also regained their senses and began to criticize. Eldest young master, young madam. It's fine that this little girl is usually rude to the Yi family, but now she even dared to ruin the banquet in front of the sixth princess. Shouldn't you punish her? The sixth princess is of noble status. She only needs to open her golden mouth, and you will be placed in an important position. But look at you. Today, if you don't give us an explanation, we won't let this matter rest. That's right. We won't let this matter rest. This time, even the master can forget about protecting you. Make her apologize to the sixth princess. Otherwise, the Yi family will never allow such a person to stay. Yi Jingxian's face darkened bit by bit. His gentle eyes became as sharp as a sword as he glared at the old men who were clamoring for him. His anger was gradually unleashed. Explanation? What explanation? Yi Jingxian sneered and said mockingly, Jiang Mingyao is of noble status. Is my daughter-in-law very lowly? Don't you think you've gone too far? I'll only say this once. Even 10 Jiang Mingjios can't compare to my daughter-in-law. Puchi, someone in the crowd laughed. Soon after, the others also laughed. Their laughter echoed throughout the entire banquet hall. Some people laughed so hard that they couldn't even bend their backs. What did they just hear? 10 princess, Meng Yao combined, couldn't compare to Yin Luofeng? Was Yi Jingxian becoming more and more stupid? Even if it was just Princess Meng Yao, she could still trample Yin Luofeng under her feet. Yun Zhao's grim eyes gradually sank as he stared at the people who were roaring with laughter. The aura from his body surged wildly, causing the entire banquet hall to become heavy and oppressive. Then, he made his move. His movements were very fast. In an instant, Yi Jingxuan's body was sent flying, crashing onto the floor full of leftovers. Father, Uncle Yi, Yi Tianwen and Jiang Mingyao's expressions changed. They wanted to check on Yi Jingxuan's condition, but at this moment, a strong force came from behind and flung them away, causing them to vomit blood. Yi Jingxian clutched his chest as he stood up. His eyes were filled with anger as he glared at Yi Jingxian. I call you big brother out of respect. Don't be too impudent. Injuring me is one thing, but you even dared to hit Princess Meng Yao. Will you only be satisfied if you drag the Yi family down? Chapter 877. He was certain that Yi Jingxian was the one who took advantage of the situation earlier. This was because Yi Jingxian was the only one who had the ability to do so. Just as Yin Xiao was about to make another move, a voice full of energy came from outside the hall. I'm not late, am I? Yi Jingxian was momentarily stunned. He lifted his head to look and immediately saw a middle-aged man dressed in martial attire, striding in from outside the door. His dignified features were filled with a smile. Seeing Jian Qingwen's sudden appearance, Yi Jingxuan's heart trembled. In the imperial city, the person he feared the most was none other than the famous great general of the nation. As for the reason why they were afraid of him, it was not because he was the empress's elder brother. It was because Jian Changwen had been on the battlefield for a long time. His vicious aura made him feel fear from the bottom of his heart. General, why are you here? Yi Jingxian hurried over and asked respectfully. This guy was someone he didn't dare to offend. Therefore, in front of Jian Chengwen, he lowered his stance. Jian Chengwen glanced at Yi Jingxian. I heard that the son of the eldest young master of the Yi family has returned to the family, so I specially came to congratulate him and also to find someone. Yi Jingxian was stunned for a moment. He glanced at Jiang Mingyao, whose lips were still stained with blood. Could it be that the general was looking for Princess Meng Yao? If he knew that the princess was injured in the Yi clan, not only would Yin Luofeng and the others be dismembered, even he might not be able to protect himself. After all, the sixth princess's medical skills were superb, and she had been busy with the empress recently. How could Jian Chengwen not avenge her? This. Yi Jingxian wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and said awkwardly, the sixth princess will be returning to the palace in a moment. How could I trouble you to come and fetch her? Our Yi family will definitely escort her back. Jian Chengwen frowned. Who told you that I'm here to find the sixth princess? Yi Jingxian was stunned. The general didn't come for the sixth princess? Then you. I'm looking for Yin Luofeng. When Jian Chengwen finished speaking, the entire banquet hall exploded. Everyone could not help but stand up with a hint of astonishment in their eyes. The general came here to find Yin Luofeng? Could it be that this lass had stirred up some trouble outside and attracted the general? They already knew that Yin Luofeng was so restless that they shouldn't have allowed her to stay in the Yi clan. General, listen to me. Yin Luofeng is only Jun Fengling's daughter-in-law. She has nothing to do with the Yi family. The Yi family does not acknowledge her existence. If she provokes the general can take her away and deal with her as you wish. The Yi family will not interfere. Yi Jingxian glared fiercely at Yin Luofeng. She would never have a day of peace after offending the general. At that moment, Yi Jingxian didn't notice Jian Chengwen's expression gradually turning cold after he finished speaking. Feng'er! Jun Fengling subconsciously grabbed Yin Luofeng's arm and shot a sharp look at Jian Chengwen. If Jian Chengwen dared to make any strange moves, she would definitely not ignore him. A cold light surged on Yun Zhao's body, and the space between his brows was filled with coldness. His aura was filled with killing intent, which made Jian Chengwen look at him coldly. It said that the Yi family's eldest son, who has been missing for many years, is a good-for-nothing. However, in my opinion, he's more outstanding than anyone else. Ha ha ha! Jian Chengwen laughed out loud and walked quickly towards Yin Luofeng. Xiao Luofeng, is this how you live your life in the Yi family? If that's the case, why don't you follow me to the general's residence? At least you won't have to be at the mercy of others here. Chapter 878. Yi Jingxuan's face suddenly froze as he looked at the man walking towards Yin Luofeng. His face instantly turned pale. This is impossible. How could a general know Yin Luofeng? Moreover, their relationship doesn't seem to be ordinary. Oh, that's right. Jian Chengwen turned his eyes and raised his eyebrows at the pale Yi Jingxian. You just said that Yin Luofeng isn't a member of the Yi family? Is this your own decision or an order from the Yi family's patriarch? Cold sweat rolled down Yi Jingxuan's forehead. He subconsciously raised his head to wipe it away and forced out a few words. General, no Yin Luofeng. This girl is the daughter of an old friend of mine. Now that we coincidentally meet here, do you think we know each other? At this moment, Yi Jingxian thought of what he had just said, and his face flushed red. It was as if someone had slapped him in the face, making his cheeks hurt. General, it's a misunderstanding. It's all a misunderstanding. I didn't know you knew each other. Misunderstanding? Jian Chengwen sneered. My little niece has suffered so much in your Yi family, and you're using a misunderstanding to brush me off? Today, if you don't give me an explanation, I won't let this matter rest. This sentence was what Yi Jingxian had just said to Yi Jingxun, but Jian Chengwen had inadvertently returned it to him. Enough. Jiang Mingyao stood up from the cold ground. She wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and looked coldly at Jian Chengwen. General, are you using your position to avenge a personal grudge? Are you using the soldiers of my Tianyin country like this? Do you really think that just because my father dotes on the Empress, you could be so lawless? Let me tell you, this princess will protect the Yi family. If my father knew that you were going against me for this kind of woman, who do you think he would help? Jiang Mingyao raised her beautiful face slightly, her lips curling into a proud smile. She was the princess of the imperial family and the daughter of the emperor. It was impossible for the general to not know which was more important. Jian Chengwen sneered. Coincidentally, I have brought a decree from His Majesty. The emperor has decreed that Yin Luofeng will be conferred the title of Heavenly Cloud Nation's emperor. Even princesses and princes had to pay their respects to her. If any of the members of the royal family disrespected her, she had the power to kill them. Wu Su reports here. After finishing his speech, Jian Chengwen turned to Yin Luofeng and said with a smile, Little Luofeng, His Majesty originally wanted to give you a position, but he knew that you would definitely not accept it, so he gave you a special privilege. From now on, you can walk unhindered in Heavenly Cloud Nation. Yi Jingxuan's face turned pale. He staggered a few times and gritted his teeth. General, are you joking? Why would His Majesty give her such a privilege for no reason? Furthermore, If a member of the royal family was disrespectful to her, she would have the power to decide his life or death. Such a privilege had never existed in history. Therefore, he was certain that Jian Chengwen had purposely made up this lie to help Yun Luofeng vent his anger. General, Uncle Yi is right. Jiang Mengyao gritted her teeth tightly. Her face was still filled with arrogance. My imperial father felt that it was impossible for him to pass down such an oral edict. So, you should understand the consequences of misinforming the emperor. Just now, Jiang Mengyao said that Yun Luofeng's status was not even comparable to the palace maids around her. If His Majesty really gave her such a privilege, what she said was undoubtedly a slap in the face. This was something that Jiang Mengyao could not tolerate. Chapter 879. Sixth Princess, you can go back and ask His Majesty if this oral order is true. Jian Chengwen laughed coldly. Furthermore, I don't have the guts to pass on a false imperial order. Jiang Mingyao's face was as white as snow. She felt her usual arrogance shatter in front of Yun Luofeng. She couldn't help but take 2 steps back. Sixth Princess. Jun Fengling smiled slightly. A cold light flashed across his heroic eyes. Up until now, do you still think that my daughter-in-law can't even compare to your status as a palace maid? Jiang Mingyao's body trembled. She clenched her fists tightly and glared at Yun Luofeng angrily and unwillingly. If Jiang Mengyao was a little more rational, perhaps she would have recognized Yun Luofeng as the white-clothed girl she had seen in the palace that day. However, she had long been filled with the flames of jealousy. As a result, her mind was a mess, and she completely did not understand this point. It was because she couldn't understand that she had done something that she would regret for the rest of her life. So, in the eyes of the Sixth Princess, Xiao Luofeng is not even comparable to a palace maid. Jian Chengwen frowned slightly and glanced coldly at Jiang Mengyao. Even if she doesn't have the status bestowed by the emperor, she is still the Yi family's daughter-in-law. Who is this palace maid next to you? Is she more honorable than the Yi family's daughter-in-law? His sharp gaze swept over the palace maid. Under his knife-like gaze, the palace maid couldn't resist and knelt on the ground with a thud. Uncle Yi, I'll leave first. Jiang Mingyao's face paled. After saying goodbye to Yi Jingxian, she hurried away with a group of palace maids and guards. It was as if she would hear Jian Chengwen's mocking voice if she stopped. Jian Chengwen smiled coldly and swept his gaze across the crowd. He curled the corners of his lips slightly. I wonder if anyone else thinks that this general is passing on a false oral order? The crowd looked at each other. Although the Yi family had a large business, it was still in existence, dependent on the royal family. So, if this oral order was true from now on, no one in the Yi family would dare to provoke Jun Fengling's family. Even Yi Jingxuan's position might be returned to Yi Jingxun. Yi Jingxian lowered his eyes slightly, and a dark look flashed across them. It seemed that Yun Luofeng could not be allowed to stay. Otherwise, he would lose his position sooner or later. General, Yi Jingxian laughed dryly. Our Yi family's banquet has been destroyed, so we are unable to entertain you. Please help yourself. I'll take my leave to rest. After saying this, Yi Jingxian hurried off into the night. The night was hazy. A crescent moon hung in the night sky, illuminating the night. Suddenly, a black-robed man descended from the sky and landed in front of Yi Jingxian. Second young master. I've treated you well all these years, haven't I? Yi Jingxian asked with a serious expression. The black-robed man, who was called lowered his head and said respectfully, My life was saved by the second young master, so even if I have to work for the second young master, I am willing. Good. Yi Jingxian nodded in satisfaction. Tonight, you will go and finish off Yun Xiao and Yun Luofeng. If someone finds out, you'll have to bear all the consequences. Yes, replied respectfully. Replied respectfully. He immediately stood up and disappeared into the boundless night with a flash of black light. Yi Jingxuan's expression gradually darkened. He clenched his fists tightly, and a cold look flashed across his eyes. Yun Luofeng, Yun Xiao, those who oppose me will never have a good ending. Chapter 880. It was nighttime. The watery moonlight poured down and enveloped the simple yet elegant room. At this moment, the tightly shut door was pushed open by a hand. A man shrouded in black entered the room and tiptoed towards the two people who were sleeping soundly. On the bed, the handsome man and beautiful woman were hugging each other as they slept, as if they had not noticed the black-robed man's appearance. The black-robed man stood on the bed and a dagger suddenly appeared in his hand. He aimed it at Yun Xiao's heart and thrust it fiercely. The corners of his lips curled into a sinister smile, and his eyes were arrogant, as if he could already see the scene of the man's heart being pierced. Suddenly, a hand reached out and firmly grabbed the dagger that he had thrust downwards. The black-robed man was stunned. When he raised his head, his eyes met a pair of grim black eyes. Those black eyes were like a serene and deep cold lake, emitting a light that made one tremble with fear. "You?" Astonishment flashed across the black-robed man's eyes. He looked at the man on the bed in panic and laughed bitterly. "Everyone in the imperial city thinks that Yi Jingqian's newly acknowledged son is a good-for-nothing, but I never thought that you'd be the one who's really hiding your abilities." He was an assassin, and as an assassin, of course, he could hide his aura. Unfortunately, Yun Xiao had still sensed his presence. If he said that he was a good-for-nothing, the black-robed man would never believe it. "Who sent you?" A languid and satisfied voice sounded from the side, causing the black-robed man's already shocked expression to become even more shocked. It turned out that Yun Xiao wasn't the only one who had discovered his arrival. Even Yin Luofeng had similarly hidden her abilities. The black-robed man gently closed his eyes. He understood that this time, his master had kicked an iron plate. These two people were even more difficult to deal with than Yi Jingqian and his wife. "I just don't like the sight of you. No one sent me." The black-robed man opened his eyes, his face expressionless. His life had been saved by the second young master, so no matter what, he couldn't betray him. Yun Luofeng jumped up from the bed and quickly picked up the clothes beside her and put them on. Then, she sat in front of the table, crossed her legs, and looked at the pale-faced black-robed man with an evil smile. "It doesn't matter if you don't tell the truth. I have thousands of ways to make you spill the truth." Yun Xiao. At this moment, Yun Xiao was already standing on the ground. He was dressed in grim black robes, and a thick chill enveloped the entire room. It was so cold that the black-robed man could not help but shiver. But he clenched his teeth tightly and didn't make sound. Cold sweat rolled down his forehead, and soon his back was drenched in sweat. "I really don't know what you guys are talking about." In the beginning, Yi Jingqian had instructed the black-clothed man to keep his mouth shut if he failed. That was because he thought Yi Jingqian and his wife would send someone to protect Yun Xiao. Little did he know that these two people were not people he could afford to offend, especially Yun Xiao. This man had always hidden his edge, but the moment he revealed it, he could not help but feel fear from the bottom of his heart. Just by looking at him, he felt as if there were needles on his back. "Feng, have you ever heard of a type of torture?" Yun Xiao lifted his eyes and looked at Yin Luofeng. "That torture is to have someone use a knife to cut countless holes in a body, then find some man-eating ants, and let those ants drill into the holes in the body until the body is completely devoured." Yin Xiao swept a glance at the black-clothed man who was drenched in cold sweat, his expression grim. "I think we can let him try this kind of torture." Chapter 881. Yin Luofeng stroked his chin and blinked. "That's not a bad idea." Then, she stood up and walked slowly towards the man in black. "Actually, even if you don't tell me, I know who sent you here. However, since you want to protect me wholeheartedly, I'll do as you wish. I'll use the method that Yun Xiao mentioned to deal with you." The young girl stopped in her tracks, and her lips curled into a sinister and cold smile. The man in black saw that smile as if a demon was recruiting him. The man in black could no longer control the fear in his heart and quickly leaped out of the door. As soon as he broke through the door, a cold aura chased after him and knocked him down from the sky. He crashed onto the ground with a thud. "What's going on?" Yi Jingqian and his wife were alarmed by the commotion and quickly walked over. At the same time, The other elders of the Yi family also heard the commotion and rushed over from all directions. "Brother, sister-in-law, are you all right?" Yi Shima had already walked to Yun Luofeng and Yi Jingshuan's side. He glanced at the man in black who had fallen to the ground and frowned slightly. Where did this fellow come from? An assassin? Yi Chi was clearly in shock as well. When she thought that these assassins had come to attack Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao, her heart boiled with anger. This assassin is here for Yun Xiao and me. Yun Luofeng glanced at the crowd that had appeared out of thin air. That's why I'm interrogating him about the mastermind behind this. Hearing this, Jun Fengling was so angry that her hair stood on end. Her figure flashed, and she appeared in front of the assassin. She lifted the assassin up horizontally and flung him down violently. The black-robed man, who had already been beaten half to death by Yun Xiao, let out a muffled groan under Jun Fengling's beating, then stopped moving. "Yi family, you're really good." Jun Fengling frowned coldly. "First, you made things difficult for my son and daughter-in-law. Now, you've even sent someone to assassinate them. You've really disappointed me." "What do you mean by that?" An elder stood out from the crowd and said coldly, "Do you think that this assassin was sent by the Yi family?" Jun Fengling glanced at the elder, and her lips curled into a mocking smile. This old man was Yi Jingshuan's man and had always been on his side. How could he expect these people to stand out and be fair? Who else but the Yi family? Jun Fengling raised his handsome brows. "I don't believe that an outsider can come to the Yi residence and scathe, especially when the person he wants to kill is not someone else, but my daughter-in-law and son." Suddenly, a chuckle came from behind the crowd, causing the people in the middle to move. Yi Jingxian gently waved his folding fan and slowly walked over with a smile. His eyes were incomparably gloomy and filled with a vicious light. Yi Jingxian said Yi xt. Yi Jingxian said sinisterly, "I know you all hate me. Before this, we completely fell out. It's only right for you to blame me for this." But Yi Jingxian paused and said, "We'll deal with the Yi family's matter later. Now, I'll kill this evil person to avenge big brother and sister-in-law." Whoosh! With that, Yi Jingxian did not give anyone a chance to react. He quickly and nimbly attacked the man in black who had fallen to the ground. His eyes were filled with a strong, murderous intent. Chapter 882. Just as Yi Jingxian was about to reach the black-clothed man, a stone slab fell from the sky and smashed into his body, pinning him to the ground. "Second young master." Everyone in the Yi family turned pale with fright and hurried forward to lift the stone slab off Yi Jingshuan's back. "Second young master, are you all right?" At that moment, Yi Jingxian pushed against the ground and climbed up with difficulty. His eyes flashed with anger. Who was it? Who ambushed this young master just now? This was already the second time. The first time was during the blood test. His knee had been hit by a stone, causing him to kneel in front of Yi Jingxian. This time, he didn't know who ambushed him from behind. No one else noticed, but Yun Luofeng had caught a glimpse of Yun Zhao's actions. This man was always like that. After beating someone up, no one would know who it was Yun Xiao since Yun Luofeng's gaze. She lowered her head and said in a low voice, "If you don't feel satisfied, I'll use a mountain to crush him next time." Yun Luofeng blinked and said with a faint smile, "All right, I want to see the scene of him being crushed by the mountain." She had said this sentence in a joking tone, but Yun Xiao had taken it seriously. Her pair of black eyes revealed a hint of contemplation. Yi Jingxian. Jun Fengling looked at Yi Jingxian in disdain. "Do you have a guilty conscience and want to silence him?" "Guilty conscience?" Yi Jingxian shuddered. "What did you say? How could I have a guilty conscience? I didn't send this assassin. Why should I have a guilty conscience?" At that moment, the black-clothed man who had fainted slowly regained consciousness. The moment he woke up, he heard Yi Jingshuan's voice. Instantly, his body stiffened and his clenched fists loosened. Cough, cough. The black-clothed man coughed dryly. "The person who sent me wasn't the Yi family's second young master. I don't know him. I just don't like Yun Luofeng and Yun Xiao." These words made Yi Jingxian raise his chin. "Did you hear that?" I didn't send him. Yin Luofeng is too good at provoking enemies. I say, sister-in-law, even if you want to find a wife, you can't find this kind of one. Don't think that she can do whatever she wants now that she has the protection of the royal family. There are many people in the world that she can't afford to offend. With her arrogant character, she will bring trouble to the Yi family sooner or later. So, Yi Jingxian paused, then continued, I announce that Yin Luofeng is expelled from the Yi family. A cold light flashed across Jun Fengling's eyes. Feng didn't do anything wrong. Why do you have to chase her out? Yi Jingxian said coldly, I didn't do anything wrong? If she didn't do anything wrong, why would someone want to kill her for no reason? She must have done something wrong, so others wanted to kill her for revenge. Hence, I will write a divorce letter on Yun Zhao's behalf and divorce her. Dream on. Jun Fengling was so angry that her entire body was trembling. As a mother, I didn't even say that I would divorce Feng. As an uncle, what right do you have? Just because I'm the head of the Yi family, is that enough? He only divorced Yin Luofeng. He didn't capture her and sentence her to death. The royal family shouldn't be so unreasonable as to settle the score with him. As long as Yin Luofeng was divorced from the Yi family, Yin Xiao would lose someone who could help him. In that case, what right did Yi Jingxian have to fight with him? Second young master is right. If Yin Luofeng and Yin Xiao hadn't done something, why would this assassin come all the way here to kill them? Chapter 883. I think this assassin is the one who's really pitiful. I don't know how much he suffered to have such a deep hatred, but now he's a prisoner. If I had a son like Yin Xiao, I would divorce Yin Luofeng first and force him to apologize to the assassin. In the eyes of the crowd, the assassin became the wrongdoer. On the contrary, Yin Luofeng, Yin Xiao, and the others who were almost assassinated became heinous evildoers. They might have killed the assassin's entire family. So the assassin came to take revenge. Otherwise, how could someone assassinate them for no reason? Mother, do you know who I admire the most? Yin Luofeng raised his eyebrows and looked at Jun Fengling. Jun Fengling laughed. Who do you admire? I admire people with wild imaginations. Yin Luofeng's lips curled into an evil smile. They didn't even know the assassin's identity, but they imagined that I killed his entire family and dug up his ancestral grave. They also imagined that the assassin hated me and came all the way here to kill me. How did they know that the assassin came from a faraway place? Why didn't he stay with the Yi family? All the elders were furious. If it weren't for their fear of the emperor's favor for Yin Luofeng, they would have rushed up and tied the girl up to teach her a lesson. Sister-in-law, Yi Jingxuan's face darkened. I think Yin Luofeng should apologize to the assassin. This must be her fault. Otherwise, why did the assassin have to kill her instead of anyone else? Ew. Shameless. Yi Qi, who had been stunned by Yi Jingxuan's words, finally managed to squeeze out a few words. Her pretty face was flushed red as she glared at Yi Jingxian angrily. Yi Jingxian was impatient and glanced at her sternly. I'm talking to sister-in-law. Who gave you permission to interrupt? Get lost now. Boom! A strong force rushed out and hit Yi Qi's chest. Yi Qi spat out a mouthful of blood and took a few steps back. Yi Shima, who was behind her, held her. Don't speak. Yi Shima frowned slightly. We'll handle this. You're not strong enough, so don't get yourself into trouble. Yi Qi was stunned. She lowered her gaze, her eyes filled with unwillingness. She knew that Yi Shima was doing this for her own good, but she couldn't accept it. If she was strong enough, she would not be in such a passive position. When Jun Fengling saw the injured Yi Qi, his expression turned ugly. He said in a low voice, Yi Jingxian, Qi is right. You are a shameless person. Don't even think about making Feng apologize to you. Huh? Yi Jingxian laughed darkly. You can't blame me for that. This woman, Yin Luofeng, is vicious and merciless. My Yi family absolutely cannot keep her. Men, bring me a pen and paper. I want to divorce this woman on behalf of Yin Xiao. Let's see who dares. Jun Fengling shouted angrily and stood in front of Yin Luofeng. Her eyes were very domineering, and she looked valiant. Yi Jingxian smiled mockingly. Just as he was about to speak, a shocked cry came from behind him. Second young master, be careful. Be careful? Be careful of what? Just as Yi Jingxian was looking around in confusion, he suddenly realized that the moonlight above him had been covered. A shadow was cast down, and he could not help but raise his head. Then horror appeared in his eyes, and he suddenly cursed. Mother of Asterisker, who's throwing rubbish in the air? Boom! Under the man's horrified gaze, a mountain smashed down, directly covering his body, causing the entire ground to tremble. Chapter 884. Yuan Shao turned to look at Yin Luofeng. The corners of his cold lips curled up slightly. You like it? If Yuan Shao only knew how to move a stone slab, Yin Luofeng would not be so shocked. However, she never thought that this guy's will would be so strong that he could actually move a mountain. Seeing that Yin Luofeng didn't say anything, Yuan Shao pursed his thin lips and said, I used my will to search the surroundings just now and only found this mountain. If you think this mountain isn't big enough, I'll go look for an even bigger one later. Previously, when Yi Jingxian said that he wanted to divorce Yuan Shao did not stand up for his wife. That was because his will was used to find the mountain, so he did not hear Yi Jingxuan's words. Second young master. Everyone in the Yi family was scared out of their wits. After a long while, they rushed to the small mountain that was pressing down on Yi Jingxian. One of them turned to his companion and said, Quick, go get something and save the second young master. As soon as he said this, someone immediately went to get a shovel. One of them placed the shovel at the foot of the small mountain and used all his strength to lift it. Unfortunately, the small mountain was too heavy. In the end, even the shovel broke. He still could not lift it. At this moment, an elderly voice rang out from the sky, sounding dissatisfied. What happened? Why is it so noisy in the middle of the night? Also, who moved a mountain here? In the sky, Yi Xiang frowned slightly and looked coldly at the people below. Elder Yi Xiang, come help quickly. The second young master is being pressed down by this mountain. We can't get him out. What? Yi Xiang turned pale with fright and hurriedly walked down from the sky. His elderly hand pressed tightly against the mountain, and with a bang, a powerful force penetrated the mountain. In an instant, the thick hill was pulverized by his attack, and the scattered stones fell into the courtyard. Yi Jingxian had long lost consciousness. His eyes rolled back, and he lay motionless on the ground. Carry him back. I'll get a doctor to treat him. Yi Xiang waved his hand and ordered. Hearing this, two Yi family guards walked forward and carried Yi Jingxuan's body towards the back of the courtyard. The entire courtyard became quiet. Everyone was scared silly by the sudden scene and didn't know what to say for a moment. All right, who's going to tell me what's going on? Yi Xiang's cold eyes swept across the crowd. His gaze stopped on the assassin, and he frowned slightly. Elder Yi Xiang, it's like this. Yin Luofeng killed this assassin's family, causing this assassin to come looking for trouble. We were dealing with this matter, but who knew that something unexpected would happen? In other words, the assassin was innocent, and all the crimes were caused by Yin Luofeng. She was the true sinner. Is that true? Yi Xiang's eyes darkened as he looked at Yin Luofeng and asked in a low voice. Yin Luofeng's lips curled up. I killed his family, so he came all the way here just to take my life. Is that right? That's right. The elder nodded furiously. That's right. Yin Luofeng gently stroked his chin. Since it's like this, it's easy to investigate this matter. Everyone who enters and exits the city gate will have a record. Since you said that he came from thousands of miles away, there must be proof that he entered and exited recently. The elder was stunned for a moment. He was just playing along with Yi Jingxuan's words. As for the assassin's origins, he had no idea at all. Chapter 885. Yi Xiang saw his hesitation and furrowed his brows. If you lie in front of me again, you should know what the consequences will be. Then he looked at the man in black and asked again, Tell me, what is your purpose for coming here? Who sent you here? If you don't give me an explanation, I won't forgive you. The man in black's eyes flashed, and he scoffed. Yin Luofeng, and I do have a grudge. She seduced my little brother, seized my family's property, and killed my entire family. However, I never thought of seeking revenge from her. Instead, I came to the imperial city and planned to live a peaceful life. Who knew that I would meet Yin Luofeng at this time? This woman seduced my little brother and monopolized my family's property. She would try to drug me. Because of this, I attacked her. No one sent me. He insisted that Yin Luofeng was in the wrong first and that he was an innocent man. He even raised Yin Luofeng's behavior to the level of indiscreet. He didn't believe that the Yi family would want a woman who tried to seduce men time and time again. As expected, the man in black's words angered the Yi family's elders again. Each of them glared at Yin Luofeng. Seduce men? TSK. This girl is actually this kind of person. You really don't know a person's face. Eldest young master, how can a woman like this be qualified to become the Yi family's daughter-in-law? You should quickly ask your son to divorce her. Hearing those people's words, Yi Jingqian's expression was very ugly. He was about to scold them when he saw Yun Xiao take off the spatial ring on her finger. Then, the spatial ring flashed, and countless crystals and medicinal ingredients appeared in the courtyard. There were even a few weapons made of cold iron. If they were taken out, each of them would be a priceless treasure. Fenger, all these years, I haven't given you any gifts. Take these treasures as my betrothal gift to you. Betrothal gift? Yin Luofeng wanted to say that he had already given the betrothal gift. However, he suddenly came back to his senses and a smile appeared on his face. This man is doing this on purpose. Didn't you say that I seduced your little brother for your property, and now I'm seducing you? Then I'll take out the treasures in my hands to slap your face. This is all I have. I'm giving it all to you now. If you think it's too little, I'll work even harder for our future. Yin Zhao's expression was serious. No one would be able to see through the man's cold exterior and what he was thinking. Jun Fengling and Yi Jingqian looked at each other. This was the first time they realized how two-faced their son was. This was a resounding slap of the face. With so many treasures, even a Yi family, which had a deep foundation, could not compare. How could Yin Luofeng seduce a man for a little bit of family wealth? Even a man was more handsome than Yun Xiao. The man in black's body went limp, and he collapsed to the ground. Yin Zhao's domineering actions had completely shocked him. At the same time, it sent a chill down his spine. You, Yin of Yi of. What else do you have to say? Yi Xiang sneered. And you guys, what other people say you believe it? The items in Yun Zhao's hands are more than enough to buy his entire family. Why would Yin Luofeng sacrifice himself for this? Even though Yi Xiang was unhappy with Yun Zhao's refusal to acknowledge his ancestry, he would still choose to protect him for Yi Jingqian's sake. Chapter 886. The Yi family elders did not speak again. However, when they looked at the item in front of Yun Xiao, their eyes flashed with greed. Do you choose to confess yourself, or do you want me to force a confession out of you? Yi Xiang turned to the man in black again and asked, I'll give you one last chance. The man in black looked dispirited. He knew that with the Yi family's power, they could definitely get the information from him. Therefore, he took a small breath and said, Young Master Yi Tianlin sent me here. Because Yin Luofeng made things difficult for him on the street. He harbors a grudge and wants to take her life. Master, I'm sorry. In order to protect you, someone has to be the scapegoat. Young Master Tianwen is too outstanding, so we can only let Tianlin take the blame. Guards! Yi Xiang's face darkened. Go and capture young Master Tianlin. We'll deal with him after the Master comes out of seclusion. Ever since the blood test, the Master continued to go into seclusion. So, after so many things happened in the Yi family, he did not stand out to uphold justice. Yin Luofeng and Yun Xiao looked at each other and saw the distrust in each other's eyes towards the man in black. Yin Xiao, let's take him away. She raised her eyebrows. If he wants to kill us, he'll have to pay the price. The man in black lay on the ground in despair. He knew that if he fell into the hands of Yin Luofeng and Yun Xiao, he would definitely suffer a fate worse than death. Fenger! Jun Fengling's eyes were filled with worry. During this time, let me sleep with you while Brother Yi stays with Xiao Er. I'm really worried about your safety. Yin Luofeng was stunned. He turned to look at Yun Xiao and saw that the man's eyebrows were knitted together. With Yin Zhao's personality, He was not used to being in contact with others. Even if that person was his relative. No need. Yun Luofeng shook his head. Isn't Yi Tianlin already captured? If someone comes to assassinate us, that person will definitely be related to Yi Tianlin. I believe he's not that stupid. Jun Fengling sighed. All right, if you need anything, remember to call me. I'll come anytime. Yin Luofeng nodded, exchanged a glance with Yun Xiao, and walked into the room. After they entered the room, Yin Luofeng poured himself a cup of tea, raised his eyebrows, and asked, Yun Xiao, do you think that the assassin was really sent by Yi Tianlin? No. Yun Xiao muttered to herself for a moment. The person who sent him was Yi Jingxian. Yin Luofeng narrowed his eyes. It looks like we need to settle things here as soon as possible. Yi Jingxian can't be kept here for too long. These few days, the imperial city was relatively quiet. The only thing that caused discussion was that a mountain range not far from the city had disappeared into thin air. All that was left was a huge crater. Based on human strength, it was impossible to move the mountain. Thus, for a moment, everyone was making wild guesses. They all believed that someone had made a mistake and angered the god of heaven, causing the god of heaven to move the mountain in anger to warn the humans. Of course, as the instigator of this matter, Yun Xiao had an indifferent attitude. Unless it was related to Yun Luofeng, it would be difficult for other matters to attract his attention at this moment. In a secluded courtyard of the Yi family home, Yi Jingxian sat muddle-headedly on his bed. It was obvious that he had not yet recovered from the unforeseen event that had happened a few days ago. This time, even though he had managed to preserve his life, he had lost a leg. He could not even get out of bed. So how could he talk about becoming the head of the Yi family? Chapter 887. Yi Jingchun, Jun Fengling, Yin Luofeng, Yin Xiao. This is all your fault. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been standing there, and I wouldn't have been hit by the mountain. Yi Jingxian gritted his teeth fiercely and blamed everything on Yin Luofeng. He had never thought that if he hadn't hired the assassin, he wouldn't have encountered this series of events. He had suffered the consequences of his own actions. Someone, invite honored consort Shu here. Tell her that I have something important to discuss with her. If she doesn't want to come, tell her that I know all her secrets, and that I have ironclad evidence in my hands. Just as Yi Jingxian finished speaking, a figure disappeared from behind him and quickly flashed into the boundless sky. After so many years, how could he have only trained Shadow? Without Shadow, there were many loyal dogs that he could use. Perhaps Yi Jingxuan's words had an effect. Not long after, a person wearing a bamboo hat appeared sneakily in front of the door. Seeing that no one was following her, the person took off the bamboo hat and revealed a beautiful face. This face was somewhat similar to Jiao Mingyao's. You're looking for me? The woman lifted her chin slightly and looked down at Yi Jingxian arrogantly. With Yi Jingxuan's power, it was easy for her to avoid everyone in the Yi family and enter this place. Unfortunately, he couldn't escape a pair of cunning rat eyes. Yi Jingxian naturally didn't notice milk tea hiding in the dark. A smile appeared on his pale face, and he said, Of course I have something important to ask honored consort Shu to come here. What is it? Hurry up and say it. I can't leave the palace for too long. Honored consort Shu was very impatient and frowned. Yi Jingxian smiled. I know that honored consort Shu wanted to seize the empress's power and deliberately poison the empress. Is that so? Honored consort Shu's expression suddenly changed, and she shouted sternly, What nonsense are you talking about? I said that honored consort Shu knows best. You hid this matter from everyone. Even your daughter, the sixth princess, doesn't know about it. She has been running around for the empress. However, you can't hide it from me. I have informants in the imperial palace. Every move of honored consort Shu that day has already reached my ears. Also, I know that. Enough. Honored consort Shu's face was ashen. Tell me, what do you want me to do? Yi Jingxian narrowed his eyes. I only need your highness to help me with a small matter. Tomorrow, I will have an elder of the Yi family send a memorial to the emperor stating that Yun Luofeng can cure the empress. If he can't cure her, he will use his life to pay for it. At that time, you can poison the medicine that Yun Luofeng gave to the empress. Then, not only can you kill the empress, but I can also eliminate my enemies. In the past few days, Yi Jingxian had already sent people to the general's residence to investigate. Yun Luofeng's parents were actually the general's old friends, which was why the general doted on her. As for the verbal edict from the banquet, it must have been a lie. Everyone knew that the emperor loved the empress so much that he indulged the general. Even if the general gave a fake imperial edict, the emperor would not punish him and would help him cover up his lie. If Yin Luofeng was really valued by His Majesty, he wouldn't still be in the Yi family. He would have gone to the imperial palace long ago. Moreover, if Yin Luofeng was really given the right to kill the descendants of the royal family, with the jealous nature of a woman, how could Yin Luofeng endure seeing how outstanding Princess Jiang Mengyao was? Perhaps he had already killed a woman who was more outstanding than him. Most importantly, the emperor had never left the imperial city, and this was the first time Yin Luofeng had come to this place. How could he possibly know the emperor? From this, Yi Jingxian came to the conclusion that the emperor did not know Yin Luofeng at all. That verbal order was a bluff from the general. He had purposely passed it on for Yin Luofeng. Chapter 888. Empress Shu stared at Yi Jingxian, who was standing in front of her, and said coldly, "I will do as you wish. I'm helping you this time in hopes that you'll keep your mouth shut. If I hear any rumors, don't blame me for being ruthless." Empress Shu, this isn't you helping me. It's just that we're mutually benefiting. Yi Jingxian smiled slightly. Empress Shu's expression suddenly changed. She took a slight breath and said, "Indeed, both of us are capable in this matter. However, Yi Jingxian, if you scheme against too many people, you'll eventually get what you deserve." "What he deserves?" Yi Jingxian sneered. "Same to you." "Oof." Empress Shu snorted coldly. She put on her bamboo hat again and left in a huff. The moment she walked out of the room, a murderous intent flashed across her eyes. Yi Jingxian must not be allowed to live. Otherwise, she didn't know when he would bring out his weakness and use it against her. Yi Jingxian probably didn't expect that because of his actions, Empress Shu would want to kill him. Seeing Empress Shu leave, a hamster sneakily ran out from a corner. Its shrewd, rat eyes glanced at Yi Jingxian, and with a whooshing sound, it dashed into the distance. "Master!" Milk Tea had just run to Yin Luofeng's room when she saw her master pressing down on Yin Xiao. She hurriedly covered her little eyes and said, "I didn't see anything. You guys continue." Yin Luofeng glanced at Milk Tea. "Where did you go just now?" Hearing this, Milk Tea immediately cried out excitedly, "Master, I went to Yi Jingxuan's room to find out about the assassination a few days ago. Who knew that I would actually hear some news?" Yin Luofeng raised her brows slightly, indicating for her to continue. Milk Tea smiled sinisterly. "Just now, a woman whom Yi Jingxian calls Empress Shu disguised herself and snuck into the Yi household. Furthermore, I heard them say that the poison that the Empress was poisoned with was done by Empress Shu." Yin Luofeng was startled, and her expression suddenly became serious. She got off the bed and walked to the table. She flicked her sleeves and sat down. "Continue." Yi Jingxian found Empress Shu. This matter was definitely not as simple as it seemed. Milk Tea's expression became more and more excited. Yi Jingxian plans to have a Yi family's elders submit a memorial saying that you recommended yourself to treat the Empress. He also said that if you can't cure the Empress, you will use your life as an apology. Yin Luofeng narrowed her eyes, and a dangerous glint flashed across her eyes. At this moment, Yun Xiao had already walked behind her. She hugged the young girl's body tightly, her chin gently rubbing against her shoulder. "I'll go deal with Yi Jingxian." "No need," Yin Luofeng said with an evil smile. "Yi Jingxian can't do anything. However, if he intends to use this method to frame me, why would he look for Empress Shu?" Milk Tea giggled and said, "Master, that Yi Jingxian didn't just set up a trap. He knew that the Emperor of Tianyu Nation was a wise ruler. He wouldn't punish you just because you couldn't cure the Empress. Therefore, he asked Empress Shu to poison the medicine that you cooked for the Empress. The Emperor loved the Empress deeply. If the Empress was killed by you, he would definitely be furious. This would fulfill Yi Jingshuan's wish. There was no doubt that Yi Jingshuan's plan was flawless. With Empress Shu's influence in the court, since she could secretly poison the Empress, she could naturally kill two birds with one stone. Chapter 889. Unfortunately, he had missed one thing. That was, the Empress had been miraculously cured by his master. No matter how good his plan was, it was useless. I was still wondering if I should help the Empress find a murderer. After all, the Empress used to be my mother's old friend. I never thought that the murderer would jump out so quickly. If I don't make use of it, wouldn't I be letting her down? Yin Luofeng leaned against the back of the chair lazily. The smile on his lips was evil, and his black eyes shone brightly. Master, what do you plan to do? Milk Tea blinked and asked. Beat them at their own game. Beat them at their own game? Milk Tea was stunned and began to sympathize with Yi Jingxian and honored consort Shu. These two were clearly throwing themselves a knife's edge. Milk Tea, continue to keep an eye on Yi Jingxian. Report to me if he does anything. An evil light flashed in Yin Luofeng's eyes as he spoke in a low voice. Yes, master. After Milk Tea responded, she disappeared with a whoosh. In the entire room, only Yin Xiao and Yin Luofeng were left. Yin Xiao, I won't keep you waiting for too long. Yin Luofeng slowly got up and hugged Yin Xiao. He lowered his eyes and said, Wait until I break through to the venerable realm. Let's get married, all right? Yin Xiao's body suddenly stiffened and his paralyzed face gradually melted at the young girl's words. Are you serious? Are you really willing to marry me? He kept this last question in his heart and did not ask it out loud. Yin Luofeng smiled. I've even accepted your betrothal gift. Do you think that I'm lying? Suddenly, Yin Xiao hugged Yin Luofeng tightly. He used a lot of strength, as if he wanted to rub the young girl into his flesh and blood. I was just too excited. Feng as long as you don't leave me, I won't abandon you. Wherever you are, it is my home. The man's voice was deep and hoarse, but it easily entered the young girl's heart. The corners of her lips curled into a faint smile. As long as you don't leave me, I won't abandon you. Wasn't she the same? To have this man waiting for her for a lifetime, what else could she not be satisfied with? However, Yin Luofeng gently narrowed his eyes. Yin Xiao, even if I agree to marry you, there's one condition that will not change. I'm the top, you're the bottom. In this world, the only person who can train you is me. Normally, you're on top, but in bed, you're on the bottom. What he meant was that when they interacted normally, Yin Luofeng was above them. He could listen to her in everything, but when it came to bed, it was probably not up to her. Yin Luofeng's smile became more and more demonic, and he took a few steps closer to Yin Xiao. If you want to be on top, then you can try. I won't give way. Just as the atmosphere became more and more ambiguous, an untimely voice suddenly rang out. Master, I support you to be the attacker and make Lord Yin Xiao suffer. When the time comes, I must come and watch. Fire sat on the bed and crossed her legs. Her small hand supported her cheeks as she looked at Yin Luofeng and Yin Xiao with a face full of smiles. Yin Luofeng's face darkened. Fire, why did you come out? Fire curled his lips. The sapling in the divine grimoire space has woken up again. I'm afraid that it will eat me and run out. And her eyes rolled. It won't be long before there's a good show to watch. I definitely can't be left out at this time. Chapter 890. In the royal palace, in the royal study, the emperor looked at the elders kneeling in front of him with a slight headache and asked, Dear ministers, do you have anything to report to the emperor? The leader of the group was an elder from the Yi family. He was dressed in court attire as he slowly walked forward and said respectfully, Your Majesty, I'm here to recommend a doctor who can treat the empress. Oh, the emperor raised his eyebrows. Although the empress had recovered, she hadn't announced it to the world. Thus, no one knew. Thus, the emperor's expression became better when he heard that they were here for the empress. No matter what, these officials were worried about the empress, right? Elder Yi, I wonder if the doctor you mentioned is here? The elder smiled. Your Majesty, the person who is said to be able to treat the empress is here. He also said that if he can't treat the empress, he is willing to die. Hearing this, the emperor's eyes flashed with surprise. He didn't think that someone would be so confident in treating the empress. He even made such a heavy vow. If he couldn't treat the empress, she would die. Even Miss Yun only made a decision after seeing the empress's condition. He didn't think that the Yi family would have such a confident person. Elder, the person you're talking about she's Yi Jingqin's daughter-in-law, Yin Luofeng. When the Yi family elder said this, he didn't notice the emperor's strange expression at all. Even Jian Chengwen, who was waiting by the emperor's side, looked at him in shock. The Yi family elder smiled. Your Majesty, Yin Luofeng is recommending herself. She even said that if she can't treat the empress, she will die as an apology. The emperor's expression became more and more strange. He coughed dryly. Elder, are you sure this is what Yin Luofeng said? Absolutely. The Yi family elder's eyes flashed coldly. This Yin Luofeng is indeed a doctor, and she's so confident in her medical skills. I think she might be able to treat the empress, so I boldly recommended her to your Majesty. In reality, the Yi family elder didn't think Yin Luofeng had any medical skills. If it wasn't for second young master's repeated warnings, he probably wouldn't have been able to resist mocking her. But now, not only could he not mock Feng Yin Luofeng, he had to praise her in front of his Majesty. The emperor's face gradually darkened. Elder Yi, do you know the crime of deceiving the emperor? If I were to find out that these words were fabricated by you, even if the Yi family's patriarch came, he wouldn't be able to protect you. The Yi clan elder was stunned for a moment and looked at the emperor in surprise. Could it be that he guessed that I was just making things up? No, absolutely impossible. Second young master already understood very thoroughly. His Majesty didn't know Yin Luofeng at all and wouldn't know the truth of his words. Your Majesty, everything I said is true. There is absolutely no falsehood. The Yi clan elder gritted his teeth and said firmly, I understand. The emperor waved his hand and said indifferently, You can leave first. The Yi family elder did not understand. What did his Majesty mean? According to his deep love for the empress, shouldn't he immediately summon Yin Luofeng? Why'd it look so calm now? No matter how many questions he had in his heart, the Yi clan elder still left the imperial studies door unlocked. It wasn't until the footsteps outside the door gradually faded away that the emperor furrowed his brows and asked, General Jian, what do you think this Yi clan elder meant? Even though I don't understand Miss Yin very well, I understand that she's the kind of person who wouldn't speak nonsense if she wasn't completely sure. If Miss Yin hadn't seen the empress, she wouldn't have come to a conclusion so easily. More importantly, Miss Yin had already cured the empress. Chapter 891. Jian Chengwen narrowed his eyes, and a cold light shone in them. Your Majesty, these old farts of the Yi family really don't want to spare little Luofeng. If little Luofeng was an ordinary girl, they would be forcing her to her death by doing this. General Jian, the emperor's expression darkened. That night, I already sent you to pass on the imperial edict. Why are there still so many people who want to make things difficult for her? Your Majesty, Jian Chengwen turned around and cupped his fists. At that time, I only passed on your oral edict. Some people probably thought that I relied on your Majesty's connivance to pass on a fake imperial edict, so I didn't take little Luofeng seriously. The emperor sighed. I was careless. I didn't think that these people of the Yi family would be so self-righteous. General Jian, make a trip to the Yi family and bring Miss Yun into the palace in the Empress Phoenix carriage. Also, let your sister see her. These few days, your sister has been talking about this girl. There's no need. Just as the emperor finished speaking, the half-closed door of the royal study was pushed open by a hand. Not long after, a figure as white as snow floated in and appeared in the royal study. Before Yin Luofeng left that day, the emperor had given her a token that allowed her to enter and leave the palace at will. She didn't even need to report when entering and leaving the royal study. In the entire royal family, only the empress and Jian Chengwen had this special privilege. Little Luofeng, why have you come? Jian Chengwen was stunned for a moment and hurriedly went up to greet her. He ordered the eunuch to guard the door, then looked at Yun Luo Feng. You entered the palace too suddenly. If people find out that you cured the Empress, I'm afraid that the hidden enemies will act against you. Jian Chengwen's voice was filled with blame, but his brows were full of worry. When have I ever been afraid of anyone? Yin Luo Feng glanced at Jian Chengwen. If they want to settle the score with me, I'll kill one if they come. If they come twice, I'll definitely kill both. If they're not afraid of death, they can come find trouble with me. The young girl's words were domineering and her brows were arrogant. That disdainful attitude of looking down on the world caused people to be subdued. A daze flashed across Jian Chengwen's eyes. It was as if he was looking at his old friend from many years ago. His eyes were full of regret. Your personality is too similar to your father's. How good would it be if he was still alive? Right, little Luo Feng. Is there something important that brought you to the palace? Yin Luo Feng nodded. I came to tell you that I know the Empress's murderer. What? Hearing this, the Emperor stood up abruptly. The veins on his forehead bulged. Who is it? Consort. Yin Luofeng's thin lips slowly spat out two words. Similarly, these two words stunned both the Emperor and Jian Chengwen. Consort? During this period of time, the Emperor had thought of many murderers who wanted to harm the Empress, but he had never considered the gentle and refined concubine Shu. Even though Shu Fei had been sad because he favored the Empress, she had never fought for anything. This kind of woman who didn't fight was the murderer who killed the Empress. Consort, Emperor consort. The Emperor gritted his teeth and slammed his palm on the table. I have treated her well, but she tried to harm the Empress. This time, I will not forgive her. Luo. Sister. Luo. Yin Luo Feng told the Emperor what Milk Tea had heard. As he listened, the Emperor's handsome face darkened. He clenched his fists, and his body trembled with anger. Chapter 892. Your Majesty. Jian Chengwen muttered to himself. I'm afraid Consort Shu can't harm the Empress on her own. So, I'm guessing that there's someone behind her. However, no matter who it is, I won't let them off. In an instant, a murderous aura spread from his body and filled the entire imperial study. Actually, it's very simple to expose Consort Shu's true colors and lure out that person. Yun Luofeng's lips curled up slightly. Doesn't she want me to harm the Empress? So what if I do as she wishes? The Emperor and Jian Chengwen were both stunned and looked at Yun Luofeng in confusion. You mean? Yun Luofeng's smile deepened. Go tell the Yi family elders that you've summoned me to the palace to treat the Empress. Invite Yi Jingxian as well. I'm going to solve all my problems today. In the beginning, Yin Luofeng hadn't done anything to the Yi family because the master of the Yi family was a holy spirit. If she wanted to kill his son, how could he not stop her? As for her, she wouldn't act rashly before she had complete confidence that she could defeat this holy spirit. But now it was different. If Yi Jingxian was charged with the crime of harming the Empress, even the Yi family wouldn't protect him. She could only say that just as she was thinking of a way to solve this problem, he just happened to bump into her, giving her such a good opportunity. Good. The Emperor immediately slapped the table. These people want to harm my Empress. I will never forgive them. After Consort Shu left the Yi family, she hurriedly returned to her bedroom. She carefully closed the door and had the palace maids wait outside. Then, she quickly walked to a stone table and gently twisted the lion on the stone table. It wasn't long before a secret room appeared within the room, and then a man in a navy blue robe walked out from within. Your Excellency Lin, I've been found out about my plot to harm the Empress. I would like to ask you to help me deal with that person. The man glanced coldly at Consort Shu and expressionlessly said, If you can't do anything right, what use do I have for you? Consort Shu's expression changed. Your Excellency Lin, I'm working for you. How can you treat me like this? Yi Jingxian is treacherous and cunning. He will definitely use this against me. Please help me this time, Lord Lin. Help you? The man curled his lips into a sinister smile. How are you going to help me if I help you? Empress Shu understood what the man meant, and her face turned pale. Sir, this is the bedchamber Empress Shu, why are you still pretending to be a chaste woman now? Didn't our first time take place in this bedroom? You've even given birth to my flesh and blood, so why are you still pretending to be reserved? The man approached honored consort Shu with a sneer. He pinched her chin tightly with his fingers, and a cold light flashed across his eyes. Honored concubine Shu's face was pale without a trace of blood. Her body was a little weak, and she almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, she grabbed the lion on the stone table tightly and stabilized herself. One night of nightmares had destroyed her entire life. Ever since that night, this man had used Meng Yao's identity as a threat to get her to poison the Empress. However, honored consort Shu still didn't understand. Since this man hated the Emperor and Empress so much, why didn't he just kill them? Your Excellency, I don't understand. What kind of deep hatred do you have with His Majesty and Empress? Honored consort Shu bit her pale lips and asked. Chapter 893. The man narrowed his eyes and sneered. Imperial concubine Tong is my childhood sweetheart, but she was killed by this shameless couple. That's why I hate them. I hate them so much that they would rather die than live. These days, the Dog Emperor has been suffering because the Empress is in a coma, and this is what I endured in the past. In the past, I was not strong enough to bring the woman I loved out of the palace. Perhaps the heavens took pity on me and gave me a chance, allowing me to possess great power. If it wasn't for the fact that I was afraid of that old bastard from the royal family, I would have captured that shameless couple and tortured them. Unfortunately, that old bastard was too strong, so I couldn't do anything. Now that I have inquired about it, that old bastard temporarily left the imperial city for something. Ha ha ha. Once he leaves, the imperial city is doomed to be destroyed. The reason why Tianyan Nation was so strong, and even the Yi family was afraid of it, was because there was an intermediate holy practitioner in the royal family. This old guy was a level higher than the Yi family's master. Therefore, in Tianyan Nation, no one dared to offend the royal family. Imperial concubine Tong? Empress Shu was stunned. You are Imperial concubine Tong's childhood sweetheart? In fact, the Empress was pregnant once, but Imperial concubine Dong secretly killed her, causing the fetus to die. His Majesty was so angry that he sentenced her to death. Although the Emperor usually had a good temper, as long as he did not offend the Empress, he had always been gentle. However, the Empress was his bottom line, and he would not let anyone who harmed the Empress go. Thinking of this, Empress Shu's heart was filled with jealousy. The Empress was really happy to be pampered by a man, especially when that man was the supreme ruler of the 9-5. You are talking nonsense. The man's eyes were red and filled with anger. Dong is innocent. She would never hurt the Empress. It must be that bitch who framed her. Moreover, so what if Donger did it? My Dong, is the best woman in the world. His Majesty must be blind to have chosen that bitch as his Empress. Empress Shu was shocked by the man's anger, and she did not dare to say another word. The man was emotional. If Dong wants to be the Empress, then she must be the Empress. Who does that bitch think she is? Why did he have to steal Dong's position? It's fine that she stole Dong's position, but she didn't even spare her life. Don't you think that a woman like her deserves to die? Yes, in his eyes, concubine Dong was the best. Men who didn't like her were all blind. Empress Shu's face turned paler and paler. At this moment, she heard Jiang Mingyao's voice from outside the door. Lord Lin, you're right. Those who bully noble consort Dong deserve to die. Mingyao will be here soon. Can you avoid her for a while? Empress Shu looked outside the door anxiously, her face full of nervousness. The man snorted. Remember, your life is in my hands. If you dare to disobey me, I will kill you. I can kill you right now. He knew what was important and what was not. Hence, he walked into the secret chamber after he finished speaking. Seeing the man leave, Empress Shu hurriedly turned the stone lion and restored the secret room to its original state. At the same time, Jiang Mingyao had already walked in. Imperial Mother, Jiang Mingyao entered the room and saw Empress Shu's pale face at first glance. She hurried forward and said worriedly, Are you worried about Imperial Father again? Chapter 894. At this time, Empress Shu's expression didn't change. She followed Jiang Mingyao's words and said, I am worried about the Empress. The Empress is also a poor person. She can't bear children, and now she almost lost her life. If I can, I really want to bear all this for her. Empress Shu took out a handkerchief and wiped the tears from the corner of her eyes. Her tears were real, but not for the Empress, but for the man. Just now, Jiang Mingyao sighed heavily. Mother, you worry so much for the Empress, but Father won't appreciate it. Why do you do this? Don't forget, that year, the Empress was too sad because of Father taking a concubine. Since then, Father rarely came to your palace. Do you still worry about the Empress? Empress Shu smiled bitterly. Even if the Empress pretended to be sick to make the Emperor feel guilty, she is still the Emperor's most beloved woman. Mingyao, I beg you, you must cure the Empress. That year, the Empress was sick, but in her words, it was pretending to be sick. Jiang Mingyao didn't feel anything wrong. Since her mother said that the Empress was pretending to be sick, then the Empress must be pretending to be sick. Her mother was so gentle and kind, it was impossible for her to wrongly accuse the Empress. Mother, I will try my best. Jiang Mingyao's face was very helpless. Her mother was too kind. She treated her rival like this. Who else in this world could compare with her mother? Yes. Empress Shu's eyes turned a few times. I heard before that Yi family's daughter-in-law Yun Luofeng is a doctor. He also said that he will cure the Empress. If he can't cure the disease, he will die. Mother, is this true? Jiang Mingyao's eyes were cold. Yun Luofeng is really so arrogant? Empress Shu nodded. I heard it from the elders of Yi family. Mingyao, I heard that you and Yun Luofeng had a conflict some time ago. Jiang Mingyao sneered. Mother, in Tianyin country, my medical skills are the best among my peers. I can't cure the Empress. How can Yun Luofeng cure the Empress? For more than 20 years, Jiang Mingyao also participated in countless medical competitions. No one could beat her. No wonder she was so confident. Empress Shu opened her mouth to speak, but Jiang Mingyao suddenly turned and walked out of the room. I'll go take a look at Yun Luofeng's posture when he loses. She had never thought of stopping Yun Luofeng. After all, she had never liked the Empress. If it were not for her mother, she would not have tried to save the Empress. If something went wrong during Yun Luofeng's treatment and caused the Empress to die, that would be the best outcome. Empress Shu's lips curled into a sinister smile as she stared at Jiang Mingyao's departing figure. At this moment, the door to the stone room was open again. The man who had left previously appeared behind Empress Shu. Why did you? Empress Shu's body trembled, and she felt a chill run down her spine. The man smiled coldly. I just said that I'll help you deal with the trouble, and you have to help me too. So, you can use your body to repay me now. Imperial Palace. In the Imperial study, the atmosphere was solemn and cold. The Emperor's expression was cold as he swept his gaze across the crowd and said in a low voice, Elder Yi, you claim that Lady Yun can cure the Empress? Are you serious? Without waiting for the Yi family elder to speak, Yi Jingxian hurriedly interjected, Your Majesty, I can guarantee that this is absolutely true. Yun Luofeng said this in front of me, and there are other elders present. How could I dare lie to your Majesty? Chapter 895. The Emperor glanced at Yi Jingxian coldly. I heard that you have a bad relationship with Yun Luofeng. Who knows if you're deliberately trying to frame her? Cold sweat dripped from Yi Jingxuan's forehead. Yun Luofeng is my nephew's wife. Why would I frame her? My relationship with her has always been very good. Your Majesty must have misunderstood. Good. The Emperor laughed coldly. Then I'll send someone to summon Yun Luofeng and have her diagnose the Empress. Yes, Your Majesty. Yi Jingxian lowered his head. His hands gripped the handles of his wheelchair tightly as his lips curled into a sinister smile. As long as the Emperor gave his decree, Yun Luofeng could not refuse. If she made a mistake in her treatment and caused the Empress to die, the Emperor would not let her off. Not long after the Emperor gave his decree, a snow-white figure appeared outside the royal study. The young girl's demeanor was languid, and a smile hung on her beautiful face. For some reason, Yi Jingxian felt that the young girl's smile carried an evil aura that made people panic. Are you confident? Did the emperor mean that he had the confidence to make fair consort Shu reveal her true colors? But in the ears of others, it became whether Yin Luofeng had the confidence to save the empress. Hearing the emperor's words, Yin Luofeng nodded lightly and said, "Take me to see the empress." Okay. The emperor's expression instantly became serious. "Someone, take Miss Yin to see the empress." Yin Luofeng smiled. "There's no need for such trouble. It's enough to have General Jian take me to see the empress. Plus, I still have things to say to him." Yi Jingxian suppressed the panic in his heart and raised his head to meet the young girl's evil and moving eyes. He couldn't help but laugh coldly. She had originally thought that Yin Luofeng would deny what she said. She hadn't thought that she would be so cooperative. Since that was the case, she couldn't blame him. "Xiao Luofeng." Jian Chengwen walked towards Yin Luofeng and swept his cold gaze over Yi Jingxian. He said mockingly, "Some people who want to harm your life will eventually harm others and themselves." Yin Luofeng smiled lightly and said a few words in Jian Chengwen's ear. When she said this, she set up a barrier so that outsiders couldn't hear what she was saying. Unsurprisingly, in the eyes of others, Yin Luofeng's actions would be seen as her asking Jian Chengwen for help. "Yin Luofeng, isn't it too late for you to ask General Jian for help?" Yi Jingxian laughed coldly in his heart. He turned his wheelchair and slid out the door. "Today, you will die without a doubt." Outside Jingde Palace, palace maids and eunuchs were waiting at the entrance. At this moment, they saw Yin Luofeng and Jian Chengwen walking over quickly. They hurriedly bowed and greeted, "Lord General, you may leave. I will bring Miss Yin in." Jian Chengwen waved his hand and said, "Yes, General." The palace maids packed their bags and left the hall. Not long after, Yi Jingxian and the ministers also hurried over. Yin Luofeng didn't hesitate. She placed her hand on the door and gently stepped back. Under everyone's complicated gazes, she walked into Jingde Palace. "Father." A voice came from the side, and a woman dressed in palace robes quickly walked over. She bowed to the emperor and said, "I heard that someone has volunteered to treat the empress's illness. If he can't be cured, he will die to atone for his crime? Why are you here?" The emperor didn't answer her question. Instead, he asked with a frown. Jiang Mingyao bit her lip. "I just want to see how Yin Luofeng can swindle people." Chapter 896. "How dare you?" The emperor's face changed, and he shouted, "Miss Yun is here to treat the empress. Who allowed you to frame her like this?" "Father, it's not that I look down on her, but Yin Luofeng is younger than me. You know my talent. No one in the younger generation in Tianyin can surpass me. Do you really think Yin Luofeng can treat the empress?" Jiang Mingyao frowned slightly, and a trace of contempt flashed in her eyes. At this moment, a palace maid came from behind with a bowl of medicinal soup. "Let me do it." Jian Chengwen stepped forward and took the medicinal soup. "Little Luofeng asked me to prepare this. I will bring it to her now." After saying this, he pushed the door open and walked into the palace. "Brother." Suddenly, the Grand Princess's sharp voice came, instantly making the emperor's face sink. "Where is that little bitch, June Fengling's daughter-in-law? I want to see that little bitch." The emperor's face darkened, and he glanced at the Grand Princess coldly. "Without my order, who allowed you to leave the palace?" The Grand Princess was his half-sister, so he didn't have much affection for her. Moreover, the Grand Princess often bullied people, which made him even more disgusted. The Grand Princess gritted her teeth. "I just heard the palace maid say that June Fengling's daughter-in-law has entered the palace. That's why she is here. Brother, how can you let such a lowly thing enter the palace? Aren't you afraid of tarnishing the palace's territory? Guards, take the Grand Princess down." The emperor's expression was cold. "Miss Yun is here to treat the empress. It's not your turn to be presumptuous." "Treat?" The Grand Princess was originally very angry when the guards held her body, but now that she heard the emperor's words, she couldn't help but laugh. Her arrogant laughter spread throughout the entire palace. "Brother, You said that Yin Luo Feng has medical skills? I guess you have been deceived by her. That woman is useless. How can she have medical skills? The emperor's expression became colder and colder, and just as he was about to shout, a panicked voice suddenly came. Your Majesty, something bad has happened. Honored concubine, Shu staggered over. Her face was pale, sweat dripped from her forehead, and she was panting. Mother! Jiang Mingyao rushed forward and supported Empress Shu's body, asking with concern, what happened? Your Majesty! Empress Shu pushed Jiang Mingyao away and knelt in front of the emperor with a plop. She cried anxiously, I beg you, quickly save Sister Empress. If you're too late, Sister Empress will be beyond saving. Many ministers were summoned by the Yi elder, but they didn't know Yi Jingshuan's purpose. Therefore, after hearing Empress Shu's words, everyone looked at each other, and they didn't know what had happened. Honored Consort Shu, did something happen when you asked His Majesty to save the Empress? Yi Jingshuan's eyes shifted slightly as he asked a question he already knew the answer to. Empress Shu's face was pale. Just now, this Chia passed by the pharmacy, and a palace maid working there told this Chia that Miss Yin had sent a little girl and added a medicinal ingredient into the medicinal soup brewed for Her Majesty the Empress. This Chia knows a little about medicine, and after hearing the palace maid's description, this Chia could tell that the medicinal ingredient was known as the red danshin, a highly toxic poison. The Emperor Yuluo, Chapter 897. Your Majesty, this is what the palace maid saw with her own eyes. Moreover, many people know that this little girl is the little girl in red who follows Yin Luo Feng. If Your Majesty doesn't believe me, you can send someone to summon the palace maids. Those palace maids are Your Majesty's trusted aides. I can't bribe them. Honored Consort Shu was right about this. The dining room was an extremely important place in the imperial palace. Therefore, those who worked there were all trusted aides of the emperor. That was why Empress Shu had the courage to stand out and expose everything. It was true that the red-clothed little girl went to the pharmacy, but that little girl was dressed like fire by Empress Shu. After all, fire often followed Yin Luo Feng in and out of the Yi family, but no one from the palace had seen her before. Your Majesty, all the ministers knelt on the ground. Your Majesty, please give the order to save the Empress immediately. The Emperor ignored these officials and stared coldly at Honored Consort Shu. You said that Miss Yin wanted to harm the Empress. Do you have any evidence? Originally, Qin Xie did not want to say it. Xu Fei pressed her lips slightly, her gaze complicated. Yin Luo Feng adored His Majesty and naturally hated the Empress from love. He wanted to take her life. She also knew that His Majesty has a gentle temper. As long as she was not found to have deliberately plotted to kill the Empress, His Majesty might not punish her. What's more, General Jian trusts her so much that he won't suspect that she killed the Empress. With General Jian's protection, she naturally has nothing to fear. The Emperor's temper was indeed very gentle, but he had a bottom line, and that bottom line was the Empress. However, there were many women who did not know this bottom line. They thought that the Empress was just a woman and that the Emperor would only spoil her, but not love her. That was why there were so many people in the palace who wanted to hurt the Empress. Empress Shu felt that this explanation was more convincing, so she took it out. Yi Jingxian was worthy of being her good teammate. Hearing Empress Shu's words, he hurriedly continued, the matter of Yin Luo Feng being in love with His Majesty. I know, but what she said to me at that time was that she had to cure the Empress. Perhaps His Majesty would take her as a concubine out of excitement. But I didn't expect her to want to kill the Empress. The Emperor smiled. At this moment, he was amused by this group of people. Miss Yin admires me? Why didn't I know? Besides, she already has a fiancé, so why would she want to become my concubine? This official has previously advised Yin Luo Feng to have a good life with Yin Xiao. Although Yin Xiao is a good-for-nothing, at least she could be officially married. However, this Yin Luo Feng is greedy for glory and wealth. She said that she would rather be a concubine of the royal family than be the official wife of the Yi family. Your subject had no choice but to agree to her request. Yi Jingshuan's expression was ugly, his brows furrowed in anger. What I didn't expect was that this woman was so vicious. Such a person is not fit to be the daughter-in-law of the Yi family. I will divorce her on behalf of my nephew. From now on, whether she lives or dies has nothing to do with the Yi family. Your Majesty can deal with her as you wish. Hearing these people's words, the eldest princess was stunned. After a long time, she began to laugh wildly. Ha ha ha! Brother, you didn't want me back then and married a woman who gave him a green hat. Now his son had married a whore. Retribution. This was retribution. Jun Fengling stole my man, so she will definitely receive retribution. It looks like the heavens still have eyes, haha. The eldest princess was very refreshed. She liked to see Jun Fengling's life become difficult. Chapter 898. Unfortunately, everyone was shocked by Empress Shu's words. No one noticed anything unusual about the emperor. If this was in the past, hearing that the empress was in danger, the emperor would definitely use the fastest speed to rush to the emperor's side. How could he be so calm? It was as if he wasn't worried about the empress' life at all. Empress Shu, you really disappoint Jun. The emperor shook his head. First, you plotted against the empress, and now you're plotting against Lady Yin. All these years, Jun has treated you well, but you want to plot against the empress' position. Empress Shu's face turned pale as she stared in horror at the man's grave and stern face. He knew, how was this possible? She bit her lips and restrained the panic in her heart. She asked, Your Majesty, I don't understand what you're saying. You don't understand? No, you're the one who understands this the most. The emperor put his hands behind his back and looked coldly at honored concubine Shu. Father. Jiang Mingyao's brows furrowed. All these years, Mu Fei has never fought for anything for herself and treated the empress like a real sister. After the empress became seriously ill, she didn't even want to eat or drink. But not only are you not grateful for what Mu Fei has done, you say that she wants to harm the empress? Jiang Mingyao was very disappointed with her father. She never thought that this man would suspect her mother. How could a kind-hearted woman like his imperial mother commit such a heinous crime? You're saying that Miss Yin went to the pharmacy to poison it? The emperor didn't even look at Jiang Mingyao. He coldly stared at Empress Shu. She hasn't even entered the food pharmacy. How could she poison it? What's more, the medicinal soup that was brought in that night was not brewed by the dietetic pharmacy. It's the Imperial Hospital. Imperial Hospital? Empress Shu was startled and raised her head in shock. When she had gone to the pharmacy, the palace maid had clearly said that this was the soup that Yin Luofeng had sent. Why did His Majesty say that the soup that night came from the Imperial Hospital? Your Majesty, Empress Shu bit her lips. I didn't lie. The medicine was indeed brought from the pharmacy. Moreover, Great Master Xiantian of the Imperial Hospital has a strange temper. How could he easily lend the Imperial Hospital to others? The Emperor smiled coldly. How would I know why Great Master Xiantian allowed others to brew medicine in the Imperial Hospital? You can ask him yourself. Master Xiantian has always had a good temper. He will definitely answer your question. Empress Shu was stunned. When she turned her head around, she saw Xiantian, who was dressed in a snow-white long robe, walking quickly towards them. She could not help but feel a hint of unease in her heart. Master Xiantian, you came at the right time. The emperor curled his lips. Honored consort, Shu has something to ask you. Xiantian frowned. What are you talking about? Hurry up and tell me. I still have something to do. Empress Shu's lips turned pale as she asked in a trembling voice. Master Xiantian, I heard that you borrowed the Imperial Hospital. Oh, you're talking about this. Xiantian slapped his forehead and looked as if he had suddenly realized something. Miss Yin is here to treat the Empress after all. The facilities in the pantry and pharmacy are too outdated, so I lent the Imperial Hospital to her. Is there a problem? Boom! As if struck by lightning, Empress Shu took 2 steps back and sat on the ground. Was Yin Luofeng really brewing medicine in the Imperial Hospital? Then why did the palace maid say that the medicine being brewed was Yin Luofeng's? Thinking of this, Empress Shu subconsciously glanced at the Emperor. An icy aura seeped into her heart. Only now did she understand that she had fallen into someone else's trap. Chapter 899. Guards. The Emperor's face darkened, and he shouted, "Go to the pantry and invite that palace maid here. We have something to ask her." "Yes, your Imperial Majesty." Hearing this, a eunuch immediately left to carry out the order. Not long after, a palace maid hurried over under the eunuch's lead. She walked to the Emperor and bowed. "Greetings, your Imperial Majesty. Let us ask you, has concubine Shu been to the pantry?" The Emperor's eyes were cold and stern as he asked expressionlessly. The palace maid slowly rose to her feet. "Concubine Shu has indeed been to the Imperial kitchen and asked if the medicine I was brewing was for Lady Yun to use for the Empress. At the time, I had already told your Highness Concubine Shu that the medicine was for Lady Jia." Concubine Shu's body had already gone limp on the ground. Her beautiful eyes were filled with despair as she stared miserably at the man's cold face. This was the first time she felt that he was so terrifying. Yes, this man was worthy of being the ruler of a country. He would do anything. For the sake of one woman, he would not hesitate to sacrifice another. All the officials were stunned by this scene. Did concubine Shu not claim that Yun Luofeng had poisoned the Empress? But Yun Luofeng's medicine had not been processed by the pantry. How did she manage to see Yun Luofeng's maid in the pantry to poison him? "Imperial Mother, what's going on?" Jiang Mingyao frowned and turned to ask concubine Shu. I don't know. It was this palace maid. She deliberately framed me. Your Imperial Majesty, you must uphold justice for me." Even now, Empress Shu still refused to admit her mistake and only wanted to push the blame onto others. "Enough," the Emperor shouted coldly. "You say that the palace maid framed you. What about Great Master Xian Tian? He can prove it too. Could it be that Great Master Xian Tian also wanted to harm you?" Great Master Xian Tian's medical skills were brilliant. Even the Emperor had to be courteous to him. Concubine Shu swallowed when she saw Xian Tian's furious gaze. Her throat fell dry. Just then, a tender laugh rang out from the treetops, instantly attracting everyone's attention. The guard beside the Emperor also drew their swords and guarded him. They stared vigilantly at the ancient tree from which the laughter came. On the treetops sat a little girl dressed in red. Her skin was as white as snow, and she looked like a delicate porcelain doll. Of course, the prerequisite was to ignore the little girl's arrogance. Back in Kargalik, someone wanted to make me a scapegoat. Now that I'm in the Imperial Palace, someone wants to make me a scapegoat too. The little girl jumped down from the tree and landed steadily on the ground. "I'm sorry. I won't take the blame for this. I wonder if it is her concubine Xian, concubine Master Xian concubine. Is she?" The palace maid shook her head and reported respectfully, "Your Majesty, that little girl is not as beautiful as the one in front of me. I'm sure it's not her. Of course, that little girl isn't as beautiful as our fire." Suddenly, a clear voice came from outside the palace courtyard. A moment later, an extraordinarily handsome man carrying a little girl walked in. She threw the little girl to the ground and raised her fists. "Emperor, that daimyo of mine has long determined that there will be someone who wants to harm the Empress, so she had me wait outside the dining room. Now, I've caught a person who wants to harm the Empress. Emperor, please make a decision." Chapter 900. On the ground, the little girl who was dressed similarly to fire was trembling. Her eyes were filled with fear, and her face was pale. "Your Majesty, it's her. She went to the pharmacy." The palace maid's eyes lit up when she saw the little girl. When the little girl heard her words, she became even more afraid. She was so scared that she peed her pants. She looked at the people around her in fear. "Did you want to poison the Empress?" The Emperor frowned and asked coldly. The little girl's eyes reddened. I didn't want to do it, but my aunt took my parents away and forced me to do it. If I didn't do it, she would kill my parents." "Your aunt is?" The Emperor subconsciously glanced at Empress Shu as he asked this question. Ever since the little girl had been brought in by Yishima, her face had turned ashen and was filled with despair. My aunt is Empress Shu. Because my mother married a poor husband, she was chased out by Empress Shu on the grounds of tarnishing the family's reputation. When she found us this time, my mother was very happy and thought that she was going to let her return to the family. Who would have thought that my aunt would take my parents away and make me pretend to be a little girl to poison them? Even though the little girl's face was filled with fear, her words were clear. Furthermore, I know that my aunt wants to harm the Empress. If this were to happen in Dongchuan, my parents would definitely not be able to escape death. Therefore, I did not put the poison that my aunt gave me into the soup. I only threw some rice flour into the soup. The little girl secretly bit her trembling lips. The fear in her eyes did not diminish in the slightest. However, in order to prevent her parents from being implicated, she had to tell the truth. Is the poison that Empress Shu gave you here? The emperor asked in a deep voice. The little girl trembled as she took out a paper bag from her lapel. She staggered to her feet and walked towards the emperor. The emperor took the bag and handed it to Xian Tian. When Xian Tian smelled the scent in the paper bag, his elderly face changed drastically. This is intestine-piercing powder. It's a highly toxic poison, and it's extremely toxic. Before you die, you will suffer from the pain of having your intestines pierced. Generally speaking, you wouldn't use this kind of poison to harm others unless you have a great hatred for them. The emperor's face turned pale when he heard this. He did not dare to imagine what kind of pain the empress would suffer if she were to consume this poison. Empress Shu, how dare you? How dare you use this kind of poison to harm the empress? Men, arrest her. Seeing the guards walking towards Empress Shu, Jiang Mingyao shouted angrily and stood in front of Empress Shu. Let's see who dares. Her eyes were filled with anger. Imperial father, how do you know that these people aren't working together to harm my imperial mother? This little girl claims that my imperial mother is her eldest aunt. Why haven't I seen her before? The little girl looked back at Jiang Mingyao stubbornly. Before Empress Shu became the emperor's concubine, my mother was kicked out of the family. Of course you haven't seen me, because your mother would never allow you to associate with poor relatives like us. Compared to Jiang Mingyao's silk clothes, this little girl's clothes were full of patches and looked extremely tattered. Even so, her eyes were still filled with unyielding conviction. Damn girl, try slandering my lady mother again. Jiang Mingyao said angrily, my mother is kind by nature. She would never disown her own sister. I don't believe a single word you said. You don't believe it, but I do. Chapter 901. Just as Jiang Mingyao finished speaking, the emperor's cold voice rang out. What are you all standing around for? Lock concubine Shu up immediately. Kill anyone who tries to stop her. Jiang Mengyao's body trembled when she heard the words kill anyone, and she stared at the emperor in disbelief. Suddenly, she smiled. Her smile was filled with sorrow. I finally believe this saying. The most heartless people are the emperor's family. You would even kill your own daughter. How cruel and merciless of you. Could it be that the empress is your only woman? My mother has accompanied you for so many years and guarded your harem for you. How would you treat her like this? The emperor was expressionless, and his expression was cold. Jiang Mingyao's words could no longer shake his heart. Those who hurt the emperor must be killed without mercy. At that moment, a powerful force suddenly attacked the emperor who was standing in the middle of the crowd. Your Majesty, watch out. Xian Tian felt the aura behind him, and his expression changed. He quickly moved in front of the emperor and faced the attack. Boom! A loud sound rang out as a powerful force exploded from his body, instantly destroying the trees around him and turning them into ruins. A middle-aged man slowly walked down from the void. This man was dressed in navy blue robes, and his expression was cold. His eyes were filled with hatred as he stared down at the emperor who was standing below. Dog Emperor, I've come to take your life today. The emperor's face showed no fear as he asked coldly, Who are you, and why do you have such a deep grudge against me? The man did not answer him. Instead, he laughed icily. Where's that SL*T? The Empress? Get her out here too. Oh, I forgot, your Empress has long been in a deep sleep. She won't be able to wake up. I also know that you've been working hard for the Empress, and you've invited countless doctors. However, The Empress's illness can't be cured, haha. No one who has been poisoned by my venom will ever wake up. He paused for a moment before he continued. The reason why I didn't kill her earlier was because I wanted to see you in so much pain. How about it? You've been having a hard time lately, haven't you? Next, I'll make you suffer so much that you'll wish you were dead. Bang! The man waved his hand, and a wave of energy struck Jingda Palace. In an instant, the entire palace was reduced to ruins. On top of the pile of rubble, there was a safe and sound bed. On the bed, the girl's evil black eyes were staring at him with a faint smile. Beside the young girl, the Empress had a gentle smile on her face. Her clothes were clean and tidy, unaffected by the power just now. The man's face changed completely, and his voice was sharp. Impossible, this is impossible. You won't have the chance to wake up again. Apart from Xian Tian, who already knew the truth, everyone else was dumbfounded, let alone this man. Yi Jingshuan's expression was the ugliest. His tiny eyes were widened and his mouth was agape. Yin Luofeng. Really cure the Empress? How could she have such strength? Impossible. Understand. At the same time, Jiang Mingyao's voice suddenly rang out. She clenched her fists, her entire body trembling. Yin Luofeng. So the person that father invited to treat the Empress that day was you. I didn't think of it at first. No wonder Imperial Father gave you special privileges. You probably cured the Empress on that day. Chapter 902. What? Yi Jingxian was stunned. The Emperor had already asked Yin Luofeng to treat the Empress, and he even cured the Empress? Then why did he agree to his request? No matter how stupid Yi Jingxian was, he understood everything at this time. It turned out that these people had already seen through his and honored consort Shu's plot. Their goal was to lure the snake out of its hole. The funny thing was that he actually thought that everything was under his control. It's too late for you to know. Jian Chengwen strode out of the ruins and glanced coldly at the people present. His words indirectly proved Jiang Mingyao's conclusion. The man in the navy gown was stunned for a while. Then, his wild laughter resounded through the entire palace. So what if the Empress has been cured? Today you bastards must die. Only when you die can my beloved Tong, or rest in peace. Tong, the Empress's eyes were cold. The Tong you're talking about is Imperial Consort Tong? That's right, the man said coldly. If it weren't for you, Tong wouldn't have died. You must all be buried with her. In an instant, the man's aura surged. Anger surged in his heart and turned into endless power to attack the Empress. Protect the Empress. The Emperor was scared out of his wits. After saying that, he rushed toward the Empress without a care for his life. However, he was still a step too slow. Before he could reach the Empress, the man's attack had already landed. However, the attack was about to land on the Empress, but it was as if it had hit an extremely thick wall. He bounced back a few steps, and his eyes were filled with shock. A barrier? You know how to set up a raise? Yin Luofeng sat lazily with her right leg crossed on the bed. She leaned against the back of the bed and glanced at the man lazily. Did you think that I stayed in the Empress's room for so long just to chat with the Empress? Yin Luofeng had been preparing from the beginning. She didn't stop for a moment. Otherwise, the man wouldn't have just left this bed when he attacked Jingda Palace, because it was very safe around this bed. Stupid girl, I've really underestimated you. The man gritted his teeth in hatred. However, what kind of ability do you have to hide in this formation? Come out and fight me if you can. Yin Luofeng's lips curled up devilishly. Come in if you have the ability. Come out. Come in. The ministers were dumbfounded when they saw the two houses arguing endlessly. But compared to the demonic and lazy Yin Luofeng, the man who had been angered to the point of stomping his feet had already lost in terms of momentum. Damn girl, I only wanted to kill the dog emperor and the bitch empress, but you just had to be a busybody. Since that's the case, don't blame me for killing you as well. The man's eyes darkened as he said coldly. At this moment, Yin Luofeng seemed to sense something. She glanced at the azure sky, and the smile on her lips deepened. Your opponent is not me, but the person behind you. What? The man was startled. When he turned around, a cold and powerful aura rushed towards him. startling him into taking 2 steps back. Shortly after, under the gazes of the crowd, a cold figure in black descended from the sky. He was like a god that had stepped through the void, noble and inviolable. After seeing the man's handsome face, Yi Jingxian was dumbfounded. Yin Xiao, you piece of trash, what are you doing here? Until now, Yi Jingxian still hadn't figured out the situation. Chapter 903. Yin Xiao didn't answer him. She couldn't even bear to look at him. In his cold eyes, there was only Yun Luofeng's shadow. Looking at the entire world, only she was worthy of his attention. Who are you? The man in the navy blue robe asked solemnly. He didn't know why, but the cold man in front of him gave him a sense of danger. It felt like a hand stretched out from hell, trying to pull him into the bottomless abyss. Do you want to kill her? Yin Zhao's deep eyes turned to the man and slowly raised her hand. Anyone who wants to hurt her deserves to die. Even if the man only had this thought and hadn't taken action, Yin Xiao couldn't tolerate anyone wanting to hurt Yun Luofeng's life. Even if it was just a thought, it wouldn't do. Yi Jingxian originally wanted to mock him. Who did this trash think he was? How dare he be so arrogant? What ability did he use to kill people? But before he could make a sound, he was scared silly by the next scene. A powerful force broke through the ground and attacked in an instant. A cold and gloomy aura filled the entire palace. At the same time, the man seemed to be pierced by something. He spat out a mouthful of blood and staggered. Without any warning, he half knelt on the ground, his face pale. Holy Spirit? His eyes gradually showed horror. Holy Spirit, you're actually a Holy Spirit. The man's sharp voice exploded in the harem. Yi Jingxian, who saw Yun Zhao's attack, was already scared silly. Now that he heard this, he decisively fainted compared to the others. The man in the navy blue robe was even more afraid. Since he was a high-level venerable spiritualist, who else could have defeated him with a single move but a saint spirit? Zhang Mingyao's eyes showed a complicated look. She had always thought that she was the best young person in Tianyan country. But there was Yin Luofeng who could cure the empress, and now Yin Zhao's strength was so powerful. These two people had completely crushed her self-esteem and made her go crazy with jealousy. The man laughed icily and propped himself up from the ground. His eyes were filled with disdain as he said, Dog Emperor, I really didn't think that you would be able to find someone like this to save you. Heaven is really blind. You bastards have done all kinds of bad things, and everyone has the right to punish you. One day, someone will do justice on behalf of heaven and get rid of you. The emperor's face darkened. Concubine Tong deserves to die for plotting against the empress. I'm not wrong to protect the empress. If Tong really wanted to murder the empress, then it also proves that she deserves to die. The man had already fallen into a state of madness. His eyes were bloodshot. She took away Tong Heir's position and the glory that belonged to Tong Heir. She deserves to die. And you, Dog Emperor. The man turned to the emperor and gritted his teeth. Tong is such a beautiful woman that you didn't want to spoil a beautiful woman like Tong. As the emperor, you should have concubines in the harem. Why are you treating a child like this? If you hadn't been so heartless, Tong wouldn't have died. Looking at the crazed man, the emperor sighed. This matter, I am indeed at fault. Chapter 904. Your Imperial Majesty. When the officials heard this, they hurriedly knelt down in shock. Your Imperial Majesty, please reconsider. We have made up our mind. You don't have to say anything more. The emperor waved his hand, his expression solemn and cold. The man laughed mockingly. If I had known this would happen, I would have stopped Tong from entering the palace. She loved the wrong person and ruined her life. Dog Emperor, do you think that I've failed just because the Empress has awakened? No, you're wrong. All these years, I've been making you wear a green hat. Ha ha ha. The Emperor was stunned. What did you say? Concubine Shu and I have been together for a long time. Otherwise, why do you think she would help me? Furthermore, every time you took Concubine Shu's card, I had just made love with her. You, on the other hand, used a woman that I had used. That doesn't feel good, does it? The man's lips curled into a sinister smile as he spoke sarcastically. Concubine Shu was stunned. She never thought that this man would say this on the spot, and her eyes filled with fear. Imperial Mother. Jiang Mengyao's body trembled. Is he speaking the truth? Concubine Shu turned her head and avoided Jiang Mengyao's gaze. When Jiang Mengyao saw this scene, she staggered a few times and almost fell to the ground. She never imagined that her most respected imperial mother would do such a thing. Have you said enough? The emperor stared coldly at the man. Concubine Shu is of no importance to us. So, apart from making us feel disgusted, there's nothing else. As soon as he spoke, the emperor's expression turned cold. Guards, take this man down. Do you think you can stop me with just these guards? The man narrowed his eyes and raised his head to look at Yun Shao. Young man, as the saying goes, leave a way out in case we meet again in the future. This matter has nothing to do with you, and I apologize for my rudeness towards Miss Yin. If you let me go this time, I will repay you in the future. Yun Shao stared at him coldly. Her paralyzed face was cold and indifferent, and she did not say a word. Lord Lin. Concubine Shu suddenly reacted and quickly ran in front of the man, hugging his leg tightly. Take me with you. Don't leave me here. These people will definitely kill me. Get lost. The man's face darkened as he shouted. You can't be so cruel. Even if you don't think about me, you have to think about Meng Yao. Do you want your own daughter to die here? The man was so angry that he almost slapped honored consort Shu's skull. He trembled all over and roared. Do you know what you just said? As the saying went, even a vicious tiger would not eat its cubs. No matter how ruthless he was, he didn't want to hurt his own child. This was also the reason why he didn't reveal Jiang Mengyao's identity. Who knew that this stupid woman, Empress Shu, would directly reveal this matter? How could the emperor allow her to live? Empress Shu didn't know that she had made a mistake. She firmly hugged the man's thigh. Now, this was her last life-saving straw. Please take us mother and daughter away from here, I scram. The man kicked honored concubine Shu's body to the ground. He hurriedly tried to explain. I have nothing to do with Jiang Mengyao. She is not my daughter. His tone made Empress Shu suddenly come back to her senses. Her eyes were filled with fear as she carefully turned to look at Jiang Mengyao. Mengyao, she called out softly, her expression anxious. Chapter 905. You're lying, aren't you? Jiang Mengyao retreated, her face pale. I'm my father's daughter. Imperial Mother, hurry and tell me that what you just said was false. The emperor's cold eyes swept across these people, his face expressionless. Whether it's true or false, blood testing is enough to prove everything. This inhumane voice caused the man's body to tremble, and he finally fell to the ground. He kicked Empress Shu's body hatefully and gritted his teeth. You evil woman, will you only be satisfied when you kill Meng Yao? Empress Shu allowed the man to beat her, her head lowered, not daring to look at Jiang Mengyao. At this moment, the man's actions had proven everything, and also destroyed the last glimmer of hope in Jiang Mengyao's heart. Previously, she had looked down on everyone, and even looked down on Yin Luo Feng. One was her arrogant talent. The second was her identity as a royal princess. Now, her talent had been surpassed by someone else, and even this noble identity was fake. No, Jiang Mengyao couldn't take this blow, and screamed mournfully. Tears flowed from her eyes as she looked at her own parents in despair. Why did you do this to me? Especially you. Why didn't you follow the ways of a woman? Why did you give birth to a bastard like me? Mengyao. Empress Shu raised her head, her eyes filled with guilt. You don't deserve to call my name. Jiang Mengyao shouted angrily. I hate you. I want to kill you. All the dignity, glory, splendor, wealth, and rank disappeared in an instant. In the face of such a change, the fact that she didn't go crazy was already beyond a normal person's endurance. The man had already calmed down, and he looked coldly at Empress Shu. Clean up the mess you made yourself. I'll take my leave first. He snorted and turned to leave, but at this moment, that cold aura attacked him from behind again. Caught off guard, the man flew backwards and fell on his face like a dog eating mud. He spat out the mud in his mouth, turned to look at Yin Shao, and said angrily, You clearly promised to let me go. Why didn't you keep your word? I promised to let you go? Yin Zhao's eyes were filled with doubt. When I asked you to let me go, didn't you tacitly agree? The man asked through gritted teeth. Yin Zhao was suddenly enlightened, and his deep voice was as cold as ever. I'm not answering you because your question is too stupid and it's not worth me answering. The man's heart trembled and despair appeared on his face. He knew that he would not be able to escape today. Yin Zhao, cripple his strength and hand him over to the royal family. Yin Luofeng lazily stretched her body and stood up from the bed. She casually waved a few strands of spiritual energy towards the array formation, and the array formation was removed. Then, her gaze shifted to Yi Jingchun, who was lying on the ground pretending to be unconscious. The corners of her lips curled into a sinister smile. Emperor. The Empress hurriedly walked to the Emperor's side with a smile on her face. This time, it's really thanks to little Luo Feng and young Master Yin Xiao. Otherwise, I'm afraid we would be in danger. The Imperial family's #1 expert had not been in the Imperial city recently, and if Yin Xiao had not come, the two of them would definitely have died in this man's hands. Moreover, if it wasn't for Yin Luofeng's array, she wouldn't have been able to escape just now. At this moment, Yin Luofeng had already walked to Yi Jingxuan's side. She raised her leg and kicked his body, smiling evilly. How much longer are you going to pretend to be asleep? Yi Jingxian opened his eyes in a daze and rubbed his forehead. What happened? I don't know anything. Chapter 906. In an instant, everyone's eyes fell on Yi Jingxian. Yi Jingxian crawled up from the ground. His eyes were filled with confusion, as if he really didn't know what was going on. Looking at Yi Jingxuan's confused expression, Yin Luofeng's smile became even more sinister. She slowly took 2 steps toward him. You colluded with Consort Shu to poison the Empress, and now you pretend that you don't know anything? Yi Jingxuan's lips twitched. He put on a fake smile and said, Niece, I am your uncle. Don't frame me. I really don't know anything. It was Consort Shu who found me and asked me to help her. I admit that I really don't like you, so I agreed. Who knew that the person she wanted to harm was the Empress? In any case, she was the future head of the Yi family. Yin Luofeng wouldn't dare to do anything to her. Now, her first priority was to clear her name of harming the Empress. Yi Jingxian. When Consort Shu heard this, she crawled up from the ground in anger. Her beautiful eyes glared at Yi Jingxian with hatred. You're talking nonsense. You clearly found me first. Now you want to shirk responsibility. Yi Jingxian sneered. Consort Shu, you're already at death's door. Why do you want me to be your scapegoat? What grudge do I have with the Empress that I would not hesitate to poison her? Take responsibility for what you've done. Don't drag me down. Consort Shu was furious. She threw herself at Yi Jingxian, wanting to tear him apart with her bare hands. However, just as she reached him, she was struck down by his palm. Your Majesty! Yi Jingxian straightened his sleeves and half-knelt in front of the Emperor. These things were really done by Consort Shu alone. I was only following her orders to push Yin Luofeng out. Your Majesty, please investigate. In any case, he would never admit that he was going to harm the Emperor, even if he was beaten to death. The Emperor's cold eyes swept over Yi Jingxian. When he looked at Yin Luofeng, his expression softened. Miss Yin, how do you plan to deal with the Yi family? Yin Luofeng's lips curved slightly. Kill them. She said these 2 words lightly, but it made Yi Jingxuan's body tremble. He suddenly stood up from the ground. Yin Luofeng, I'm your uncle. How dare you speak to me like that? Yin Luofeng glanced sideways at Yi Jingxian. How come I didn't know Yin Xiao had an uncle like you? You? Yi Jingxian was so angry that his whole body was shaking. He pointed angrily at Yin Luofeng. When Yin Xiao saw this man, pointing his finger at Yin Luofeng's nose, a cold light flashed in her eyes. She raised the knife in her hand, and a cold light slashed at Yi Jingxuan's finger. Ah! Yi Jingxian let out a shrill scream. His voice was heart-wrenching, making one's hair stand on end. At this moment, in the sky above the Yi clan, a powerful force suddenly spread out and circled in the sky. The Emperor was slightly taken aback when he sensed the aura. Old Man Yi from the Yi family has become a mid-level holy spirit. The reason why the Yi family was weaker than the royal family was because the old man from a Yi family was weaker than the #1 expert of the royal family. So he had no choice but to submit to the royal family. But if this old man broke through, then from then on, the royal family and the Yi family would be on equal footing. Ha ha ha. Yi Jingshuan's face, which had been contorted due to the intense pain, laughed maniacally. My father has broken through. He has finally broken through. This time, the royal family can't do anything to me, ha ha. The emperor's face darkened slightly. He glanced coldly at Yi Jingxian, but did not say anything. Chapter 907. The master of the Yi family's breakthrough at this time had completely disrupted his plan to kill the people who tried to kill the empress. The master of the royal family was not in the imperial city, so no one could deal with that old man. Just as he was thinking, the aura above the Yi family suddenly came towards them. In a moment, a figure in a gray robe appeared in front of everyone. The old man's expression was calm and otherworldly. His eyes were filled with arrogance as he looked down at the people below him with disdain. Father, you came at the right time. These people wanted to kill me, especially Yin Xiao. He even cut off my finger. You must avenge me. Yi Jingxian glared fiercely at the group of people in front of him and gritted his teeth. Yi Tian did not move, still standing high in the sky with his hands behind his back, his face expressionless. Master Yi, the emperor smiled slightly. Congratulations on breaking through to the intermediate stage of the Holy Spirit Realm. You are the second Holy Spirit Realm in our Tianyin country to reach the intermediate stage. This is the glory of our Tianyin country. But the emperor paused slightly and continued. Yi Jingxian plotted to kill the empress. You must give me an explanation for this. What's more, I have long heard that Master Yi does not like to fight with your own family. Your son plotted to kill your grandson and granddaughter-in-law. Shouldn't you also deal with this matter? Yi Tian frowned slightly and looked at Yi Jingxian indifferently. Is what he said true? Yi Jingxian trembled. Father, no matter how wrong I was, Yin Xiao and Yin Luofeng are still alive, but these two people just tried to kill me. How can you tolerate it, father? Looking at Yi Jingshuan's unrepentant expression, Yi Tian shook his head. These few days, even though I was in seclusion, I still heard what you did. Xian I have already decided to hand over the position of master to you. Why are you still holding on to them? Yi Jingxian lowered his head and clenched his fists tightly. His lips curled into a sarcastic smile as he said sarcastically, Even if you give me the position, so what? In your heart, Yi Jingxian is still the most important. I am just not satisfied. I am clearly not worse than him. Why do you favor him more? The man's eyes were red, and his eyes were filled with unwillingness and resentment. At this moment, he vented all the grievances he had suffered over the years, and his voice was hysterical. The old man closed his eyes slightly. After a long time, he opened them again. You're so stubborn. I can't help you with anything. You should just destroy yourself. If Yi Jingxian admitted his mistake, perhaps his heart would soften and help him. Even now, Yi Jingxian did not think that he had done anything wrong. How could he save him? The old man's words made Yi Jingshuan's eyes widen and his whole body tremble. What did Dad mean by that? Give up on him? Dad, you can't do this to me. Yi Jingshan is your son. Am I not your son? Even a vicious tiger won't eat its cubs. How can you be so cruel? Yi Jingshuan's face paled. Yi Tian was his last life-saving straw, so of course he wouldn't let go. Xian apologize to your brother and nephew. Father will let them only cripple your strength, but spare your life. Yi Tian smiled bitterly. In the face of his own bloodline, he still could not harden his heart. Dad, what are you saying? Yi Jingxian asked in disbelief. You want me to apologize to Yi Jingxian and the others? And cripple my strength? If I don't have strength, what difference is there between me and a good-for-nothing? How can you say something like that? Chapter 908. Apologize? That's even more impossible. He would never admit that he was wrong. Yi Tian's smile became increasingly bitter. He simply closed his eyes, no longer looking at Yi Jingshuan's twisted face. Father! Yi Jingshuan's eyes turned a few times, and he gritted his teeth. Even if you don't want to save me this time, You must save me, because I already know the whereabouts of the eight-tailed fox you asked me to find." "What did you say?" Yi Tian suddenly opened his eyes, his breathing hurried. "You know the whereabouts of that fox? Where is she? Tell me." Yi Jingxian sneered. "Hand over the Yi family's power to me, and you help me kill Yun Xiao and the hindrance elder Yi Xiang, and I will tell you where she is." In Yi Jingshuan's eyes, the only person in the Yi family that he could not control was elder Yi Xiang. So Yi Xiang must die. As for Yun Xiao, this kid was too strong. Leaving him alive would be a disaster. Moreover, he had just cut off his finger, so he could not leave him alive. "Yi Jingxian." Yi Tian's face was ashen. "You still want to kill them?" "That's right." Yi Jingshuan's lips curled up. "Only I know where that fox is. If you want to find her, you must agree to my request. Otherwise, don't even think of seeing that fox again." An eight-tailed fox? Slipping away from the Yi family? After hearing these two pieces of information from Yi Jingxian and his son, Yin Luofeng subconsciously looked at Fire, her eyes gradually revealing a strange expression. Hee hee. Yi Tian was so angry that he laughed. "It seems that all these years, I have really indulged you too much. So much so that you would be so lawless. You even dare to threaten me?" In this life, he had never been threatened by anyone. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted to know the whereabouts of that fox ancestor, he really wanted to slap this bastard. Perhaps it was because of Yi Jingshuan's stubbornness that Yi Tian's last trace of softness towards him disappeared, replaced only by a heart full of anger. Yi Jingxian raised his chin, fearlessly facing Yi Tian's angry eyes. "This is the price you have to pay for favoring Yi Jingxian. Don't you want to kill me, so that he can become the Yi family's young master again? Let me tell you, don't even think about it. I won't let you people succeed." At this moment, a soft voice came from the side. "I say, you people are either making me a scapegoat or talking nonsense about me. Have you ever asked for my opinion?" Fire had long been annoyed by these people, and had completely forgotten about Yin Luo Feng's initial instructions. Her small, jade-like face was filled with anger as she glared fiercely at Yi Jingxian. "Go, go, go!" Yi Jingxian chased the fire away with his hands. "Do you want to die too, little girl? If you don't want to die, then scram. We're talking about that fox with a broken tail. What does that have to do with you? Don't flatter yourself." This little girl was someone by Yun Luofeng's side. There was no way Yi Jingxian would associate her with the fox that Yi Tian had asked him to find. Naturally, he didn't think much of her. Fire curled his lips. So the quality of the current Yi family is so poor, completely incomparable to that brat Yi Fifen. Yi Fifen? Yi Tian's body trembled, and his stunned gaze turned to Fire. His voice gradually became excited. "You are Yi Fifen." Others might not know this name, but for Yi Tian, who had inherited the inheritance, he was very familiar with it.